welcome to Google Plus Week. Okay, I'm just going to put this out there. I'm having technical glitches, rare technical glitches. So I don't know if there's going to be a latency where like my mouth is moving. It looks like bad Chinese subtitles or what the deal is. But if this thing goes completely berserk, look on my profile. If you're watching on YouTube, you can find that you can look at my channel for another stream or Hangout on Air, or just go to danmcdermott.net. And that'll take you to my Google Plus profile, and I'll put a new Hangout on Air there if this is a disaster. So anyway, how's everybody doing? Jody, how are
Great.
you?
Doing great. It's
And
beautiful,
Alan?
warm.
Alan, you okay?
Just Marvy, Dan.
And Pam is here.
I am.
Okay, that's it, right? Three of us. Oh, Sreek is here, but he's not always here. He's not all there.
It's not all there.
Okay, so anyway, I have my first thing is
Speaking of not all there,
I have a
Are you
rant.
talking about Craig?
Is Craig here now?
No, I think he
No.
was referring to Craig.
Okay, so
no,
here,
but speaking of not all there, Dan has a rant.
I have a rant. Okay, so this is a nonpartisan rant. This is about the Washington shutdown, but I'm not going to beat up on the Republicans or the Democrats. This is both parties have done this in the past. If you look at the history, I think there's a letter from Henry Hay to James Adams or something, back in the day in the 1700s when they were, Supreme Court can't weigh in. It's a congressional fight, continuing resolution, blah, blah, blah. Happened a dozen times under Tip O'Neill. So this is not a Republican-owned issue, except this week, obviously it is. But,
Dan, hang on a minute. Dan, stop. I'm
What's
not
the
sure
deal?
we're going out. I'm not sure we're live.
Well, we have 6 concurrent viewers. Let me see what we're seeing here. Are we getting comments of any kind? Is Craig here now?
No, I think he was
No
referring to
comments.
Craig.
Okay, so
No,
here,
but speaking of not all there, Dan has a rant.
I have a rant.
Oh, there you are. Okay, I guess we are
so
going.
this
Okay,
is a
so
nonpartisan
rant.
rant.
My
This
apologies.
is
Go
about
ahead
the
and
Washington
rant.
shutdown. Okay, so now I'm not going to beat up on the Republicans or the Democrats. All right, so here's the deal. Here's the rant. All right, I'm going to give you some real numbers. I am in Warren County, Virginia, home of Skyline Drive and Shenandoah National Park. There are 240 employees. 40 of them are working because they're essential, like the cops and stuff like that. 200 are off, including the PR spokesperson. It's illegal for them to even check their email. So last year, this is the peak season for Skyline Drive. And it's where everyone goes. If you're not in the DC area, you know what I'm talking about. Basically, the leaves change, and it's this long drive, and it's beautiful, and you see the pretty views, blah, blah, blah. So 240,000 people came last October. And the second and third weekends are the busiest. They pay $15 a car. So let's just round
No,
numbers. Go ahead, Alan.
This is a national park?
It's a national park.
Okay.
And so let's 240,000 people. Let's assume 2.4 people per car. So it's 100,000 cars paying $15 a piece, about 1.5 million, roughly. Probably 2 million because some will pay for the annual fee for the annual pass. So they're losing that revenue. Now, they always pay the employees afterward, back pay. So we lose $1.5 million to $2 million in October, but we're still going to have the same expenses. But my friend, my driver's son's girlfriend works at a restaurant, and she's not going to get back pay. And they have 5 kids between them. Then he's cutting trees for a living, and she's waiting tables. They don't have a lot of money. But they're not sitting on a couch waiting for a government check either. They're working. But she's working for a restaurant up on Skyline Drive that's closed because of the shutdown. And then I have another friend, my housekeeper, Heather, her brother works as a carpenter for a government contractor. And he's a skilled carpenter, but he's not working. He's not going to get back pay. He's just sitting at home while these guys have this pissing contest in D.C. It's absolutely outrageous. The other thing, these monuments you're hearing about, the World War II veterans, I did a post about this disgusting display by this congressman who was berating this woman who was a guard, National Park Service or something, and Park Police, and he was telling her she should be ashamed because they weren't letting people in there. The woman was doing her job. She was told what to do. She's a law enforcement officer. She was enforcing what she was told the law was. It's not her fault that this moron voted to shut the government down. And for him to go there and with his flag in his pocket saying she should be ashamed for not letting brave veterans in there, that is BS. He did it. They did it. they need to grow up and do their damn job, get the government back open, because there are real people working who are getting screwed. And with the park thing, I was looking today. Normally, well, right now there were 7 park police guarding the barricades to make sure no one came in the closed memorial. Normally, there's a contingent of 0. So they actually have 7 more people than if it were open, keeping it closed. It costs more to close these things in many cases than to open them. It's absolutely ludicrous. It pisses me off. And what I keep going back to is, I remember it wasn't long ago at the height of the Syrian drama that the Russian president wrote an op-ed in the New York Times that he was critical of President Obama for using the phrase American exceptionalism. And he said that it's arrogant for us to assume that we are exceptional when we're all created equal under God, etc. And it was viewed as a dig. It was a dig. It was a slam. I could tell you it's very difficult to argue against that this week. And it's embarrassing, and it's bad. And real people are being affected, and it's the height of arrogance. And I will say, on one simple partisan note, to think, regardless of your feelings of Obamacare, to think that he is going to throw away his signature issue, that would be like expecting FDR to get rid of the New Deal or Lincoln to go back on freeing the slaves. I mean, whether it works or not, Barack Obama will be, his legacy is this bill, this law. And to think that you're going to get him to throw that away this way is crazy. And my only concern is these people who are, minimum wage type people, working people, pound a nail for a living, they're getting screwed, and that's wrong. So that is my rant, and we can move on, or if any of you guys want to join in the fray, the fracas.
Let me ask you a question, Dan. Have you, like so many others, gone and watched The West Wing this week?
No, I've seen it 50 times, but I know the scene you're talking about where he walks to the Capitol. In fact, I was even thinking about that today. Is that what you're talking about when the government shut down?
Actually, I wasn't. I just know that a lot of my friends have decided to watch The West Wing this week because they found it far more inspiring than the news. And I'm not even specifically referring to that scene. I actually went and watched a later episode from the same season about the Supremes. That was a great episode.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that whole series. Is that the one where they ended up with 2 candidates? Or 2 nominees, or is that the one where they got the Hispanic guy who was so smart?
Nope, that's the one with 2 nominees.
Okay, we don't want to spoil it, but the Supremes is an amazing, inspiring episode. That's what it's called, the Supremes of the West Wing. It's one of their like 4th, 5th, 6th season, something like that. And
season 5, I believe it was episode 17.
Okay, that's scary. You would know that, but no, because you just watched it. But that is a really great. It's sort of like to draw an analogy, 12 Angry Men, where in the end it makes you think about your initial view and the scene. What was the scene? Was it the Cane Mutiny with the strawberries? And at the end, when they were they had the court-martial for the guy who conducted the mutiny, and the way they did it, it really made you reconsider your initial view on the whole circumstances. And that Supremes really has a great ending. We recommend it highly. Any other thoughts on this before we get to a tech topic on our tech show?
We've got some comments.
Actually,
sure. Go ahead, Jody, and then we'll do the comments.
well, there was an interesting post earlier today. Barry Schwartz from Search Engine Roundtable typically does a Friday afternoon roundup of what happened in the world of SEO. One of the things that he talked about, and I'm not sure what the correlation is, so maybe you guys have some thoughts about this, but he said that Google AdSense publishers were blaming the government shutdown for an earnings drop. And not even sure exactly how that could happen, but possibly it's because there are hundreds of thousands of people who are home, not at work, where they typically would be using their computers and buying stuff or clicking on ads. Not quite sure, but they're saying that, yes, there is a drop in AdSense. I just thought I'd throw that in there.
I'm going to channel our frequent panelist, Craig Shipp, and say that this is clear indication that all government employees are doing in their offices are sitting at the computer and surfing the web. That's my Craig Shipp for the evening.
There's a science to this. I saw a report that came out, and they said that what's the best time to post something Basically, it's like a little bit before lunch. When people are looking at the clock, 4:30 or so in the afternoon. Fridays are great. When people are like, I don't want to be here, and they screw around on the internet, that's the best time to post stuff. So there is some truth to that. But you're talking hundreds of thousands of people who are furloughed. And even the ones who are working, like the cops who are chasing that crazy lady, they're not getting paid. They're probably going to get paid, but they're working for free. I mean, they'll probably get their money in the end, but it's not guaranteed. It's all but guaranteed. But still, those people who are literally almost run over by that lady.
I think they actually did pass a resolution today saying that they were going to guarantee back pay, which is a pretty audacious thing to guarantee when they can't even guarantee a budget at all.
Yeah.
They don't even know how long it'll be either. So
there was a post about someone who happens to work for a hotel chain, saying that their business has already dropped significantly due to the shutdown. So, it's not just the government that's going to suffer. It's going to be all the restaurants, all the hotels, and even gas stations. All kinds of things.
Oh
So,
yeah, and
We have a couple of comments.
They shut down 250,000 people who would normally be driving through the town. So you're talking all the restaurants, gas stations, hotels, all that stuff. Yeah, it's bad. Go ahead, Alan. What do you got?
A couple of quick comments from Jeffrey. We've got thank you for sharing these things. And Ken, here, Dan, here.
Thank you.
And John is warning us that the audio and video are not in sync. And John, as we said, we've had some technical issues this evening, so we apologize in advance. But do let us know throughout the show how the sync has been going.
And I'll just share my screen for folks who are video geeks. It's what I'm getting, primary stream. It says bad. Please use a keyframe frequency of 2 seconds or less. Keyframes are not being sent often enough. This will cause buffering. Current keyframe frequency 8.3 seconds. GOP sizes can be wrong if you have ingestion errors. So as Alan pointed out before the show, even YouTube is blaming the GOP for what ails us. Or maybe
that's
Jody.
just wrong. That's just wrong.
But anyway, so if any of y'all know what the hell that means.
This is going to be nonpartisan, Dan.
Yeah. I started out that way. I couldn't help myself. But like I said, both parties have done this. It happened under Tip O'Neill multiple times. And they're using whatever legal means are at their disposal. And they say that there was a great constitutional thing that was very interesting. I don't know if the guy's right wing or left wing or if that's an issue, but he's a 14th Amendment scholar, and which means that's the Equal Protection Clause. Everyone should have equal protection of the Constitution, which has been used for a number of different rulings in different ways. In the same way that the First Amendment doesn't just apply to written speech. But anyway, he said that it's not really settled law in the sense that giving women the right to vote and African Americans the right to vote is considered settled law, because no serious person would say is questioning that, right? But Roe v. Wade is arguably not settled law, because a significant portion of the Republican Party every year puts that in their plank that they don't like Roe v. Wade. And in this case, because it was passed by partisans, it is the law, and it was upheld by the Supreme Court. But the term settled law means everyone agrees that women should be able to vote. But not everyone agrees on Roe v. Wade. And you're just one or two Supreme Court nominations away from overturning that. And in this case, you're one president and one Senate away from overturning the Affordable Care Act. So it was a really interesting article. I wish I could reference it, but I saw it today and read it, or yesterday, whatever. So, we'll see. And they are using legal means at their disposal. They're not committing any crimes. And so it's been done before. It's just, I just wanted to highlight the real people who will not get back pay and are being impacted and have mouths to feed and don't earn a lot of money to begin with, like the waitress and the carpenter. And they're being screwed while they're playing this game, and they're all getting paid. And it's just frustrating. And it's again, I'll close on the Putin comment, criticizing us for claiming American exceptionalism. I think this is a bad week for that. So anyway, any final thoughts?
Yeah, there's an article here that has 10 ways that it'll impact you or us, because I think a lot of people think of it as being, oh, well, that's in Washington, but I'm in New Jersey. So, and Pam, you're what, in the West Coast, right? So, but anyway, For
Yes.
example,
Sorry.
it's okay. For example, you may not receive certain government benefits, particularly if the shutdown lasts into October. So funds for programs that help needy families, including women, infants, and children programs, rental assistance programs sponsored by Department of Housing and Urban Development. There could be delays in processing Pell Grant and student loan payments. That's one thing you don't think about. Passport offices, you may not be able to get well, right now you can't get your passport renewed, but the passport or visa office could close. You'll have to eat food that was produced in neglected factories, which is a little bit extremist. But when you think about it, the Food and Drug Administration is always monitoring what's going on in different manufacturing facilities. That's not going to happen. Things like meat, poultry, which they inspect. Obviously, we know we won't be able to visit the national parks or drive on the roads that cut through them, which was kind of ironic because the first day of the shutdown was the anniversary of the Park Service, Yellowstone National Park, and that was the Google Doodle, which is kind of ironic. You won't be able to use some government websites or Twitter accounts. So, I'm not so concerned about NASA right now or the National Park Service, but I would be more concerned if the Hurricane Karen had picked up and there was something that was imminent and coming up the coast. You won't know if the flu is brewing in your area because the Center for Disease Control will not monitor the seasonal flu activity. You won't be able to ask the IRS for help with your taxes. You won't be able to get certain types of loans because the SBA will not approve or process new loan applications.
Your audit is delayed. You can't even get audited. It's awful.
Yeah. Oh well.
Now, the one benefit. The one benefit.
But how Letterman does the countdown, and it's like, okay, and number 10 is. Can you guess?
Go ahead. We're all ears.
You won't be able to watch Panda Cam.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Someone commented, it said maybe they could run reruns. Would anyone notice on the Panda Cam? Epic comment. Okay. So, and one final thing on the audio sync, I'll just note, I'm switching to SoundCloud. I was using Liberated Syndication or Libsyn, Libsyn.com, and that's what I've been using for quite some time. And I'm switching to SoundCloud for two reasons. One, it's literally 1/12 the cost. It's $100 a year versus $100 a month is what I'm paying Libsyn for the two shows. So I'll save $1,100 a year for this money-sucking hole that is Google Plus Week and Our Android Week, which airs Mondays at 9 p.m. Eastern.
So you can afford to send me a plane ticket so I can come visit you guys.
Absolutely. And then also there's Google Plus integration. You can play a sound from SoundCloud right in your Google Plus post, just like you can a YouTube video. So that's cool. So I'm experimenting with that. I'll probably just straight up switch. So if this is unwatchable because of the audio, the latency between the video and the audio, then you can always listen to the audio version.
You didn't want to watch this anyway. Just listen.
Absolutely. Just close your eyes. Pretend Craig's on the screen. Just close your eyes. And I've got a slide. If we call him, I've got a slide all set up here. This is what we'll use for Craig Ship, should he call. So anyway, okay. So Alan is relaxing, and let's get to topic one.
It's only 15 minutes in.
Yeah. All right. So topic one is, I'm just going to read it, and then Alan will tell us what I just read. Announcing Google Plus iOS SDK 1.4.0. Today's release includes two of the most highly requested features from the developer community: an in-app share box and ID token support! And then it has the link, and it says added by Pam, but she doesn't know anything about it, so don't ask her. Pam's an honest woman. Pam, is that what are you drinking?
I'm drinking pomegranate martinis.
Hell yeah. What's in it? Vodka and pomegranate juice?
Good
Vodka,
guess there, Dan.
vodka, citrus vodka, curacao, and first call pomegranate mix.
And after about 3 of them, you'll do away with the pomegranate mix and the curacao.
I made a picture of them, so and I'm already buzzed off the first quarter of that picture, so it's gonna be an interesting night.
Man, you're sitting there. You got a big cigar on one side. You got a pitcher of booze. You got an astronaut tube. You're there for the night. Okay.
Yep.
Just kidding. Okay, I guess you couldn't use an astronaut tube. All right, so Alan, can you explain what I just read
Not really,
with charts,
but
visual displays, and
not really, but since I'm a GDE for this, I'm supposed to actually know what I'm talking about. So, basically, what it is this is part of the Google Plus API, which stands for Application Programmer Interface, because you always ask me that when I say it's part of the API. Basically, this is how, in this particular case, how people can write an iOS app that can post messages to Google Plus or use other aspects of Google Plus as part of your iOS app. So in the past, what happened, if you wrote an iOS app that wanted to share something to Google Plus, in order for that share to take place, it would actually launch the browser to do the sharing for you. And then once it did the sharing, it would return back to your app. It worked, but it looked kind of stupid, to be perfectly honest. Now they've enabled it so you can do sharing directly from the app. It doesn't go out to a browser. Everything happens within the app. It looks nicer. It looks cleaner and more consistent. If you're used to how an Android app does it, it just looks better. It actually looks like it's part of the app as opposed to some kludge, which is what it was. The other feature is what they call ID token support. And ID tokens allow you to securely verify the identity of users of an iOS client. So what this now allows you to do is use these ID tokens as part of your authentication with your server. So you know that the person who is running this app is who they say they are. They're authenticated with Google Plus, so you know who they are. Hopefully what this means is that we're going to start seeing some more iOS apps that are taking advantage of the Google Plus sign-in features, other Google Plus features, and we'll be seeing this more and more on iOS.
well, I couldn't be more
I've
thrilled.
stunned you into silence, Dan. What was that?
I couldn't be more thrilled.
I can tell.
I
still
understood
don't
about
understand
half.
it.
I don't understand.
Yeah.
it. I don't know what the hell he's talking about. Jody, do you understand that?
Uh-huh.
Thanks for
All
your
right.
support, guys.
I would
No,
ask
I
you a
mean-
follow-up question, but I don't know what to say.
I think it kind of made sense. So basically what you're saying is that it's a better way to develop an interface between iOS devices and Google properties.
Yes. Specifically using Google Plus authentication and sharing things from your app to Google Plus itself.
Cool.
Awesome. I can't wait to see what exciting things come out from this new API enhancement.
Okay.
Don't look at me. I didn't add the topic, guys.
Okay.
Next story.
So next up, now even though this is a Google Plus Week show and we are all Google fanboys, we do try, and fangirls, we do try to be impartial and unbiased in our coverage of Google. So that brings us to our next topic, which Jody added, entitled "Google Dominates the World." If you could you
Elaborate?
yes, and you have visual aids.
Yeah, I don't know how to do a screen share. If somebody can, just do the screen share, I can
Sure.
discuss it.
I will do
But,
that. I will pull it up on my screen, and so I'm looking
That'd-
here. Apple reportedly.
Yeah, basically, it's a map of the world, and there's different colors that represent what is the most used app for that area. And all of the red areas on the map are Google, where Google's number one. And then
There's no
blue.
map of the world. It says Apple
Right.
reportedly buys Q, formerly Greplin. Is that the right link?
No, it's the other
No.
one,
Okay, just kidding.
above it.
Oh dear. All right, here we go.
You have it?
Yes.
Okay. So just to explain, Google's the most popular website used in New Zealand and around the world, over 1 billion people using it. This research showed that, if you look at just the enormity of the portions of the map that are red, that's all Google. Then the blue are the areas where Facebook is the primary application that people use. In the green is Baidu, if that's how you pronounce it. It looks like Yahoo also has part of what's off to the side there. But what's interesting too is that for those areas where Facebook was number one, Google was number two, and Google and YouTube were like basically 2 and 3. So just interesting perspective.
Baidu is obviously all the rage in China,
Hmm.
and then Yahoo's hanging. Where are what is that news? Where is that? What's the
Where's what?
purple?
Is that Mongolia? I'm going to show 'em how stupid I am. I think, well, the big area is Russia.
This reminds me of the West Wing episode where they were discussing the maps.
I'm not used to seeing it purple. But I think that, isn't that, hold on, let's pull up another map.
I'm
There
sure
it
we'll
is.
be our international friends will set us straight. So yeah, it looks like it's interesting that Facebook. I wonder what search engine that these guys are using, like in Mexico, because they're big into Facebook. It looks like, and on the west coast of South and Central America, they're big into Facebook. I wonder if they're just not doing searches, or if they're using a Hispanic search engine or something.
No, this is the number one app as determined by, or the number one URL that people are going to by Alexa, which is an Amazon property. So, I guess the most popular site.
Okay. Good
Let's
for
see. It
good
says
for
Google's the
Yandex.
most.
Yandex is got
Yeah,
this
there's an index there, but it
strange
says
strip at the top there.
Google's the most visited website in most of Europe, North America, and Oceania. Oceania? I never heard of it called as Oceania. But Facebook, in
Oceania.
contrast, is the most visited website in most of the Middle East, North Africa, and much of Spanish-speaking Americas.
All
And it
right.
says among the 50 countries that have Facebook listed as the most visited website, 36 of them have Google as the second most visited. The remaining 14 list YouTube, which is currently owned by Google.
Baidu is a search and general destination blogging platform, or what is it? I've heard of it, but I'm not sure exactly. Is it like a Facebook thing or like a Google.com thing?
I always hear it referred to as the Chinese version of Twitter.
Okay, so it's a microblogging platform that was in the news. I think they arrested some kid who posted something, and there was a big controversy over it. And this is not helpful in any way. I see Baidu's here. Baidu is it is a Chinese language search engine for websites, audio files, images, community services, an online collaborative built encyclopedia, searchable keyword forum, and I think it has microblogging elements, unless I'm wrong, which is entirely possible. Yeah, it looks like a search engine for music. I think it's where you get all your illegal music. Thus the popularity. I'm sure they've got the entire Miley Cyrus collection, including videos in HD.
Ugh, who would want it?
The post-Disney era. Okay, so awesome. Google dominates the world, in short, is the theme of the show tonight. And okay, so next, Apple buys Greplin to compete with Google Now.
Mm-hmm.
Let's hope they have better luck than they did with Apple Maps.
Yeah, Apple Maps is struggling.
Yeah, indeed.
Well, they
So-
didn't buy anybody to do Apple Maps.
So tell
Good
us
point.
about
So why don't you take
Greplin,
Jody?
Jody.
Well, Greplin, it's funny because I had used it a couple of years ago, and then I just kind of like stopped using it because it wasn't that effective. But basically, it's a way of doing a personalized search, and it lets you search across Gmail, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. So it was kind of a search, but not like a Google search, which only searched what was on the web. This would search through personalized stuff from the accounts that you are involved with. So what's kind of interesting, Google recently introduced the Google Now, which and Alan, correct me if I have this wrong, but my impression is that it's kind of like a card that shows what would be important to you based upon your preferences, where you are, what you're doing, what it recognizes that you do. So it's kind of like a personalized search, so to speak. So
I wouldn't call it a personalized search, but I can see where you're going with it from that angle. But you're mostly correct. Go ahead and keep going.
okay, well, so the conjecture is that Apple purchased Gremlin, which is now called Q, in order to compete with Google, because we know there's a huge love between Apple and Google.
And that's
So
CUEQ.
CUE, correct. So, and when they were asked about why they bought it, they gave out a canned statement that they always give for any kind of acquisition news, which is Apple buys smaller technology companies from time to time, and they don't discuss their purpose or plans. You know, they bought Siri also, so it's kind of interesting. So I just thought it was kind of interesting that they are going head-to-head with Google.
All right.
Well, it's interesting, and it actually, the phrasing now as a personalized search is kind of an interesting way to look at it. I think of search as kind of an on-demand thing. So when I ask for something, I expect search to deliver it to me. As opposed to what Google now does, which kind of says, it delivers me something when I want it, when I need it, before I ask for it. Google now kind of tries to anticipate what you want, like a good personal assistant, as opposed to, a bad personal assistant, which, gives you snarky answers to your questions.
It scroogles you, and we like that.
Yes.
That's an ad, right?
So, I can, if they are looking to turn this into a Google Now-like product, it would be very interesting, and I think it could be a good starting point for them to do so. Particularly since that one of the things it's going to need to do is search across a wide range of products, which Apple currently has no control over. So I can see how they'd be interested in this sort of thing from several points of view. Whether they'll succeed at it, that's another question, but we'll see.
Agreed.
Okay. Pam, would you like to add anything on the purchase of Gremlin?
Is she there?
I don't know.
Or maybe too many martinis?
That was 2 martinis ago. All right.
Well,
So,
Shriek's here. Shriek's here.
is he really here, or is he's back?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm here.
All right, this was added by Pam. Is Pam here? No, Pam's not here.
Yeah, go ahead. What is it, Dan?
Loom gets 1.4 million in seed funding from Google.
Loom? Bloom? What is it? I have no idea. I'm hearing it for the first time.
This is a real. I'm gonna wait for Pam on this. I guess I'll skip this because we'll wait for Pam to get back. So let's do this. Let's switch to the smartwatch topic. There was this rumor. This is just a random, or there was some stuff, but there's a story here. One of those sites, those rumor sites, or I guess the guy shared on Google Plus. It's the guy from Android Police, I think, but he said he wasn't super sure, so he didn't put it on his website. But there's a rumor that on October 31st, Halloween, they're going to release Android 4.4, which is KitKat, and they're going to release a Nexus smartwatch codenamed Gem. We've heard rumors of this off and on. We've discussed the whether we think it makes sense, whether it would be popular to have a watch. I'm for it. I don't think that the Samsung iteration is the one I necessarily would get. But if they come out with an actual Nexus watch, I'd be intrigued, depending on the price point. What do you think, Alan?
I think you're being extremely generous to Samsung. The Samsung smartwatch is a fiasco, a disaster, and an utterly, totally bad idea. I think smartwatches are generally okay ideas, but the proof is in how they do it. You can make a smartwatch that's a really bad smartwatch. You can make a smartwatch that's a really good one. I tend to think something like, Glass is a really good smartwatch. Sreek obviously thinks otherwise. What are you waving around there, Sreek, and tell us your experience with it.
He's got to unmute.
This is not really a smartwatch as such, but is this is actually an iPod inside a shell of a watch. It's called Lunatic. Lunatic, yeah. So I think I got this like a couple of years back, or maybe more. But I think I like the concept, right? I mean, I know that it doesn't interact or anything, but if you have the iPod Nano, so I get a lot of questions when I wear this, but it's not really a smartwatch as Alan would have it, like the the glasses kind of a thing. But I always wonder, what do people expect from a smartwatch? So are they gonna give up on the phone, or I would like to throw the question back to Alan, like, what do you want your smartwatch to do?
I want notifications. I want I want to be able to drive or wherever I am and see a notification. Oh, it's Sariq. I can ignore that one, or it's my mom.
Okay,
Oh, I better. You know what I mean?
yeah, especially if it's a
Now I
political
know how
post.
you Indians like your
We
colorful
all
accessories.
ignore
So you're
Streak at
gonna.
one time or another.
That's
No,
wrong.
it's
That's wrong.
It's about notifications, right? It's like like a button. I'm driving. I'll call you back, or that kind of
Well,
thing.
but here's
right?
here's the thing, Dan. Smartwatches. Everyone gives notifications as what they want out of a smartwatch. My opinion about smartwatches, I've covered it in the past as well. I think anyone, at this point, your smartwatch has to do notification. The real question is, what is it going to do beyond that, and what is it going to do well beyond that?
So that's what my question to you is. What is your expectation? What do you want your smartwatch to do?
I want to be Dick Tracy. I want my watch to have TV on it. I want to be able to take pictures with my watch. I want to be able to talk through my watch and hear.
Is it even practically a good idea to have a watch which is like a camera? Think about the awkward.
Jody, let me ask you something. Why do you want your watch to be your phone?
Because that way I don't have to worry about something that isn't attached to me. It's on my wrist. I'm not going to lose it. I can run with it. I can ride the motorcycle. I mean, whatever I'm doing, it's convenient.
Why not a Bluetooth? Why
Yeah,
not a Bluetooth
why
in your
would- why-
ear?
Yeah, why wouldn't you do that? I use it.
You have to take your hand off the handlebars to talk on your watch. That's not cool.
Well, you can't really talk while you're riding anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
You have the wind noise and everything. But the reality of it is, so what confuses me are these phones that integrate with a watch, because now you need two devices. I mean, to me that's awkward.
Exactly. So I haven't till now in this discussion heard a good convincing use case for having a smartwatch. What do you mean by a smartwatch?
Is it wrong to say, honestly, I don't really know what the hell they're going to be able to come up with for these things. I want them to come up with, it's going to be an Android device, and guys like Alan are going to be able to write cool apps for it and take it to the next level. I'm not really sure exactly. I couldn't design it myself. I'm just excited about the prospect of it. And if it's $100 or $150 or something reasonable.
They have had calculator watches, and they've had these other little special, pager watches and stuff like that, and they didn't take off. And I don't see this taking off.
If somebody says that, oh, you know what, my smartwatch is smart enough to give me a holographic projection of, oh, great.
But there's a difference between a single-use device and a multi-purpose device, Pam. A calculator watch, and they were cumbersome,
And you think this isn't going to be cumbersome?
Exactly.
I don't know yet. I mean, if it's
I
got,
don't think it has to be.
if it
can be.
buzzes and tells me I have a text, and I can just briefly look down.
Wow, so does my phone. You could put that in
Yeah,
your
but why do you
pocket
need
and
to
it'll
carry
buzz.
It's different.
If
It's
you-
different. It's right there. It buzzes and lights up in the same way that.
How about if I get you like this strap? You can put your your
Samsung watch.
Nexus 7 on your on your arm. Like
As
this,
intriguing as a night with you and your straps might sound.
if you can get rid of your cumbersome Note 2 and have a watch to replace that, and you don't have to carry both these devices, I understand that. But why the
I
hell-
know, but I want an Android watch toy that I can see what it does.
Well,
It's
so
like
you
the
want a toy.
healthcare bill. We have to
You want a
pass
toy.
it. We have to
Jody,
pass
can
it
I
to
answer
see what
Jody-
it does.
Can I answer Jody's question?
Yes, sir.
What Jody's been asking and what Sarika's been asking is, you're kind of saying that you want this totally separate device that does the same things that your smartphone does now, but it's sitting on your wrist. And you're asking, why do I need a separate device? And the answer is, it kind of boils down to, you can't get everything that you want into the watch right now. So you need that secondary device.
Right now being the key part.
What was that?
Right now being the key.
I agree with
Sure. And sure, if you discover a revolution in battery design, and a revolution in display design, and a revolution in antennas, then yes, you'll be able to get everything that your smartphone does right now into a watch.
Ultimately, that'll happen, Alan, don't you think? I mean, everything's getting smaller. And not forget.
But if you need binoculars, glasses to be able to see the screen on your wrist, because it's, I mean, how big is it going to be? Already phone screens are getting smaller, and it's already more difficult. Well, or bigger. It's already difficult enough to see, try and see a picture or something.
My phone, I mean, it's not the fastest thing to fire up. If I want to take a picture or whatever, but I want the phone does a million different things. But there are key 3 or 4 things you do all the time on the phone: text, email, various notifications from Google Plus or Facebook or what have you, and phone calls. So I don't know if you can make a phone call from the watch, but to get your basic notifications and something about the size of what Sreek has, and an API so that guys can, like Alan and gals like Jody, can write cool apps down the road. I don't know exactly what it's going to look like in a year or 2 from now, but I'm excited to try it and see what they can come up with.
What do you got, Jody?
You know what, Dan? Hold on one second. I would love to see Dan holding a coffee, and then he gets a text message from Alan and says, "Oh, I got a text."
That will happen. I bet you that happens now with his phone.
So Michael Daniels says, "I'm not going to answer my watch. That would look stupid. Everyone with a wrist next to their ear." Michael, I disagree with you. I think it would be totally cool.
I don't see it that way, Jody. I think it's a notification thing and a cool.
Nobody's really saying that you have to answer your watch like hello like this. No, if it is a Bluetooth enabled device and you have a Bluetooth headset or something.
Oh, Sreek. So now you're talking about carrying around 2 devices.
No, I'm actually saying.
Or 3.
Because
then you have to have your tablet so that you can type, and then your phone. How are you going to text? How are you going to text on
Okay, here's it.
Voice-enabled texting. Come on.
Well, here's an example. I like Bruce turned me on to Waze, that thing that tells you.
I love Waze.
About there's a cop ahead or there's construction.
I love it. Yeah.
Wouldn't it be neat if?
I love it too.
But it ties up your phone and your battery, right?
It doesn't tie up mine. I multitask.
Well, basically, I set my Otter little Oddie, whatever the hell it is, thing, and I turn Waze on, and then if I get a call, I'm talking to the person, but I'm not simultaneously easily able to continue the Waze thing. But wouldn't it be neat if you could have an app for Waze that would immediately, every time it senses that you're in a moving vehicle, automatically come on and start giving you alerts, speed trap ahead or whatever it is. And your phone's not touched, right? I mean, it's doing Bluetooth stuff with your phone. And if you got a phone call, you're driving or whatever, you can just look down and see who it is.
But you couldn't because it's running Waze. You have the same problem. You've just moved it from your phone to your wrist.
Well, it's almost like they're advantage to different devices.
I want to give my answer to Michael about people looking stupid talking into their into their wrist.
We don't need that.
That's right, because people don't look stupid now, do they? Do they?
You got to do the real. I was on Real Housewives of DC.
Do I want to know why you were on the Real Housewives of DC? No, I don't.
You have to hold the phone like this when you talk. You can't. This is what they make you do. You have to hold the phone like you're not allowed to do this.
Is that screen still messed up?
Yeah, I'm embarrassed.
You know what? You have my address. Send it to me. I will have it fixed, and I'll send you a bill. Okay?
I've
got a guy in the mall in Winchester.
She won't necessarily
but it's like
send you
an
the
hour and a half
phone.
round trip. And it's on in fact, this show.
Yeah, I'll send you the bill, not the
Just
phone.
get a new phone, Dan.
It's your people's fault, see, because the guy does it on Fridays, and that.
It's our fault.
I'm busy. I was
Waiting
busy.
for the Nexus 5 to come out.
The thing works fine.
You might be able to drop it off on Thursday and pick it up next Friday.
But then I have no phone for a week.
You have no other phones?
I have
Really?
a couple. I have my BlackBerry Bold or Tour, and I have 2 Motorola Photons. That and $2 will get you a cup of coffee at Starbucks. Just leave your guns
Okay,
at home.
so Jeffrey makes a point that I think is an important point, and it's one that I've been making only a billion times since we first started talking about smartwatches. And of course, it just disappeared from my screen.
No, it's there.
No, it just did. Well, it disappeared from my console. Hang on a second.
It's on my
here it is.
smartwatch.
I use the same argument for asking that phones be integrated into tablets. If it already has cellular chipsets, why not connect phone software? And in my mind, this kind of drives home the point that, honestly, our smartphones are the size and the shape that they are right now because they're tiny tablets.
Yep.
Okay? It's not because the phone actually needs that form factor. And what I'm really hoping for is that someone's going to create the smartwatch that really doesn't do much on the watch part itself, but relies on other peripherals. And all the watch is going to be is the cellular and network connection. And then you're going to have a tiny tablet like this, if this is the phone that you want to use, and it will talk to your wrist.
I want
and
a big
if
tablet.
you have a tablet to do it, it will talk to your wrist. And my glass will talk to my wrist.
And
Or
what
your
about my
Bluetooth headset will talk
17-inch
to your wrist.
laptop?
What was that?
What about my 17-inch laptop? Will it
It'll
talk to my
talk to your
wrist too?
wrist.
I think
Absolutely.
everything has to talk to everything else. And I think, the glasses, the wristwatch, the smartphone, even your car, everything's going to be integrated. And, with a heads-up display, there's no reason that you have to have a big face. By the way,
the question on
Michael
all of
Daniels'
this-
comment, Alan,
Go
said,
ahead.
he said, Alan, that's his point, and that's why he likes glass. Thank you.
I just think it's more convenient. Like, it's super convenient for Alan because he's got his $1,500 7 of 9 kit, right? But I think that if you're in Walmart and you got your hands on the shopping cart, or if you have a kid, you're carrying your kid or something. You don't want to have to put the kid down, get in your pocket, pull the phone out, hit the button, swipe the security lock. Maybe.
And you want to try to do that on your wrist instead?
I just want to look down. Oh, okay, it's Alan. Meh. I'll call him later. That's what I want to be able to do.
Would you take my call, Dan? That's all I want to know.
Hell yeah.
He doesn't.
Especially a video call.
Aw.
But seriously, I just think, I
On
think
your
there's a
wrist.
market for these things. It's not for everybody any more than glasses for everybody or tablets are for everybody. I think Bruce
Right,
bought a
but
tablet and
Dan-
returned it.
Dan, if you listen to what both Jody and Sreek have said, is they're not saying that the convenience of having it handy on a wrist, or I would say handy in front of your face, isn't good. They're questioning whether you want 2 devices. They want to see the whole device on your wrist. And I think right now,
Frankly,
and
I don't know
for
if it's a
the
good idea
near
to have
future,
0.6 watts transmitting from right next to your skin all the time.
So we'll all wind up with wrist cancer.
You'd rather it transmitting from
Right
Here,
now, it's right
pocket?
next to my crotch, so you do have a point.
Yeah. I think the issue that I see, if you look at the battery life on some of the devices, for example, the Galaxy, who cares? I forget the name of it already. The Galaxy garbage has a battery life of 8 hours if you're lucky, 4 hours if you're actually.
But compare
using
that to the Kindle things, which can go, weeks, right?
Forget the Kindle. Compare it to the Pebble, which is a smartwatch that does notifications and runs for weeks.
Yeah, I don't need to be able to watch a YouTube video on my wrist. I don't need that kind of screen. I'd be happy with maybe even a black and white screen. Just a simple monochrome, like a paper white Kindle
But then
type
again,
screen.
you're talking about multiple devices, so why bother?
But a wristwatch is because the phone is slow and cumbersome, and it's a multi. It's
But
like
it's going to
firing
be
up-
the interface with your tablet or your phone or whatever, and it's not going to be any faster. You're adding another layer.
It's a peripheral
software.
It's a peripheral device to this phone. I don't see it as a replacement to the phone. Just like
I
Alan's
understand
glass.
that, but
I
what
don't
I'm
see
saying
Alan's
is it
glass
still
ever
has to
becoming a
connect.
replacement.
It still has to connect to the network, to your device, and to the wristwatch. So you're adding another extra layer with some software and all that stuff. You don't think that that's going to slow it down even more? You're going to have it's going to be slower, but maybe less cumbersome.
No, when
I mean-
I'm in my car, I've got the Bluetooth thing, right? And when I get a phone call, if Pam calls me when she, drunk calls me sometimes, and there's heavy breathing, and then I have to figure out who it is, and then I pretend I don't know it's Pam. So anyway, so I'll be driving, right, just minding my own business, driving the car, and then Pam will call, and if she calls me, the phone rings, and then I have to pick it up, and because I have this big ass phone, I'm balancing the steering wheel. I got the phone, and got to.
But if you had the Bluetooth in your ear,
beer
all
in
you
the
would have to do
crotch.
is push the thing, and it would talk.
But I don't want to. I'm not that guy. I'm not doing the fanny pack and the freaking Bluetooth in my ear thing. I'm just not doing it. I
Then don't
got my
move to
phone sitting
California.
there, and I got to
but
pick
you'll
the
have the
phone up,
geeky
and then
but
I
Dan,
swipe
Dan.
it on, and then
You're going to have the super secret decoder watch thing that you're going to lift your hand off the steering wheel
No,
and
I'm
go,
not going to talk. No,
10-4.
but the point I'm making is about the speed.
I see you,
If I'm
Pam.
driving, my thing
have the
says
cozy watch.
call from Pam.
and you won't be able
And
to see me drunk.
I'm driving, and it says call from Pam. And then I look up, and there's a button lit up, and I hit the button, and it's like, yo, Pam, what's up? And he's like, Dan, or whatever she says in her glorious way. I'm taking some poetic license with the description of my phone calls with Pam. I think we've had one phone call in our history, but
and you called me.
But it was
surprisingly
good.
sober. Yeah,
Memorable.
it only takes one with Pam. So anyway, yeah, I think it's a peripheral device. I don't see it as a replacement any more than I see Google Glass as a replacement. Although that's more feasible because you could theoretically have like the speaker in your head, but that would just freak people out if you're just walking in the subway, speaking like you're talking to yourself like a crazy person. You almost would need a fake phone just so people wouldn't think you were nuts and worry that you were going to drive around the Capitol and run into people, and unpaid and get killed by cops who aren't even getting paid.
We got a bunch of comments.
Yeah,
here's
go
a
to the
vision.
comments.
I'm gonna do
Basically,
Let me grab
I'm
my
right
comments
and
first,
Pam's
Jody.
the
Hang
other
on a
thing.
second. Kevin wants to know when are they going to make a smartwatch that actually looks like a cool watch?
The Pebble
Keep the
looks
technology
pretty cool.
behind the regular watch case.
The Pebble is not there for me, but it's pretty cool looking. I think what Sreek had there was pretty cool looking, and that wasn't even a watch. I think something along that factor. But again, remember what they were able to get with, like you said, with the Pebble and with the Kindle Paperwhite. I think that thing goes like a couple months on a single charge on. You don't need. It's a notification device in my mind. That's what I want. But I don't know what they're going to come up with and what I'll be like, wow, that's awesome. I hadn't even thought of that, right? I want the geeks to figure that out for me. I'm just intrigued with the possibility. But then again, I was intrigued with the Samsung thing, and then I saw the specs, and I was like, I ain't buying that. This crazy camera thing on the Sony thing. I think that's cool. But I'm not buying it.
But here's where we're moving. I mean, and I think you can kind of see it. It started that everything was individual. Now, I know Apple, you can integrate all of your devices together through iCloud. Google has a similar function where your glass and your computer and everything, no matter where you end, that you get on something else, it picks up where you are, with a Chromebook, right? So why is it so far in the future or so unrealistic to expect that you've got an intelligent piece of equipment on your wrist? Okay, we already know that the new Apple iPhone has a chip in it that knows who you are, knows your preferences. It's broadcasting as you walk through the mall so that the retailers can figure out what kinds of things they're going to present to you, right?
That's
all
not,
of this
no,
technology is
You
here.
whoa, hang on, Jody, I got to stop
No,
you there.
Alan,
That's
please
not
let
how
me
iBeacon
finish.
works.
Please let me
That's
finish.
not how iBeacon works.
Okay, well, let me finish, and then you can correct my illusions of misinterpretation.
This is
But-
Jody's first
I just didn't want
anger
people
on the
starting
show.
to falsely accuse Apple of something.
Well, okay, we can discuss this, but I know that this technology, the way that I interpret what I read, which may or may not be consistent with what your interpretation is, but my understanding was that it does broadcast so that it can be picked up, what your preferences are. But regardless, okay, even if it doesn't, it's not that far in the future that devices are going to be able to do this. And so when you're in your car, okay, it knows you're in your car. It knows that it's you. Your settings are set up. Somebody calls you. It gets integrated through your system, your speaker system. You pull up to your house. It knows it's you. Your garage door opens. You pull in. The refrigerator is ready. The oven starts. Whatever. all of these things, all of the personalization, all of your devices are going to get smarter, and they're going to all be integrated. Your glasses, you can look at your computer, the door of your refrigerator could potentially be another monitor. There's no reason that things have to be separate anymore. They're becoming more integrated.
This is classically what they call convergence 10 years back, right? And I think convergence was a big buzzword. Like I would know, and Alan could maybe more comment on that. But somebody mentioned Chromebook, so I wanted to actually next time Dan shows off his Note 2, I'm gonna do this.
Oh, cool! I like the color.
Thank you. Actually, it's a hard shell cover, but it's Dan, you got a competition now.
See, now you're becoming. Okay, so
what is that?
That is interesting, Jody. That you could just walk up to your car. See, he's abandoning the Apple ecosystem and going all Chrome.
Dan,
all the time.
Dan, face it. Your computer is ghetto. Everyone has jumped on board the Chromebook. But we'll get to that in a minute.
Now that you are saving $1,100, you can put that down on a new computer.
My computer's gonna be about $3,200, I think. And Craig's trying to get me to get a Mac, and I wouldn't mind getting a Hackintosh so I can experience both.
$35.
And it's
well
awesome.
Spent. Anyway,
okay, so anyway, I love the Jody Raines.
I've got mine.
I love the Jody Raines freaking out at Alan. I swear to God, it was like Eleanor Clift at Pat Buchanan. Let me finish. It was epic.
Why do you guys still have the box? Or didn't you guys install it yet?
Oh yeah, it's installed.
No. They just bought it to show off for some stupid reasons.
I installed mine. I had it hooked up for one afternoon, half of one afternoon.
Alan, why doesn't it support wireless N?
Wait. And he bitched for 3 weeks on the show about not getting his Chromecast, and he had it hooked up for 4 hours.
That's absolutely right.
He was trolling me good. This was hysterical. He called me. He was trying to get an animated GIF to work. And it turns out what he was posting, he was doing something with Google Sites, and he called me up all just livid, foaming at the mouth, wisps of smoke coming out of his ears about this crappy Google thing that doesn't support animated GIFs. I said, this doesn't make any sense. So I figured it out in, about 2 minutes, Craig? And then
you did.
And
but
then tell the funny explanation about how...
As usual, you have to jump through to make it happen.
But you said, it's good to have people who use...
Right?
He's like, it's good to have you people who use Android and Windows devices because, with us Apple users, stuff just works and we don't ever have to troubleshoot anything. So we can call you guys when something goes wrong because you're used to living in a world of hurt. And
if it needs a workaround, call an Android guy. He can come up with a workaround.
Oh my God, Craig!
There's truth in humor, though. I must admit.
No, there is no truth in that. There is no truth whatsoever. Apples are just as kludgy and clunky and bad.
Yeah, I'm hearing a lot of bad things about iOS 7.
No, here's my gold iPhone 5S, 64 gig. It works like a champ. No.
What's that thing you have attached to it?
It's I can clip it on my waistband.
He is the fanny pack guy.
So you can easily take it.
You should see him. Oh, that's nothing, Pam. You should see his when he's in full uniform. When he's out doing events, you should share a picture.
He looks like the mall cop.
Craig,
he looks exactly like the mall cop, except he's got more shit around his waist than the mall cop guy. But he gets content,
And the stuff I have works.
Craig, is it a lady magnet?
Hey, absolutely.
And people ask him for hats. I swear to God, we were in Winchester, and this crazy guy comes up, and he's got like stuff coming out. He's like, not sanitary. And he's like, you got a hat? Can I have a hat? I like that hat. And Craig, I swear to God, people follow him around asking for hats because he used to give hats away. And they find him
a mistake. I used to give them away. That's right. And now they all ask for them. Like kittens, Can't feed them.
It's just like that. Exactly. So what's the status? I have no idea what topic we're on. Are we on the smartwatch still? Craig, would you buy a smart?
No, we're just wrapping up. Dan,
okay.
How was your Google Plus week? So how was your Google Plus week, Dan?
Are you serious? We're ending?
But I just got here. You called 1-800-DIAL-A-TROLL.
We've been BSing for 30 minutes. I don't know.
So
we're only on topic 2.
I have a question for people
we
watching.
We were talking about smartwatches, and then you somehow derailed it, Dan.
Okay, here's the question. I'm just putting Craig's slide up that I made because he was going to do an audio thing. Here's
The
my
trolling
question
slide.
for the panel, and I want to know from the viewers. I just want you to put a number in there. Put a dollar sign and number. The Chromecast was an incredibly cheap price point, $35, right? And if it was $200, nobody would have bought it, but everybody bought it at $35 or tried to. What is that magic price point for a Nexus watch? Some sort of Android watch that you would just go out and buy it. Obviously, if it was $20, 100%, you just buy it and then hope for the best. If
And
it
then
was
put it in the drawer along
$300,
with the Chromecast.
if
Yeah.
it was $300, you wouldn't. So what is that magic price point you think they need to hit? The $35, they hit a great price point for the Chromecast, and it's limited, and it's admittedly limited, advertised as such, and it's great. I like it. But what do you think that price point needs to be for this Nexus watch, this Android watch?
So you're
I
not,
won't buy.
you're not
I won't buy
asking
it for
personally,
30 bucks.
right?
I won't buy it for $30.
Yeah, you're not asking personally. You're just saying, like, you know.
Either way, what would you buy? Pam, if it was
I
20
wouldn't.
bucks,
I wouldn't buy it. I want a real phone with a big screen. I want your Nexus 7.
The problem with a $30 watch is it's going to be a piece of junk. That's the problem. I think it's got to work. It's got to be decent. It's got to do something meaningful. Otherwise, why would people want it at any price? It's got to serve a purpose, and it's got to be reliable, and it's got to look decent. I don't think you're going to do that for 25 or 30 bucks.
Craig, is that a smartwatch on your hand, or is it just because you're smart? That golden one.
It's not smart. No,
Oh.
this one dates from 1999, so it's not.
Okay.
We have our first viewer comment on the subject, and John says $99.
Yeah, I
99
think
bucks.
that's truthfully, if if I was going to remove my displeasure about this product in general, I would say $99 would be my tops.
No,
wouldn't buy it.
Pam, hang on. No, hang on. I want to ask Pam a question. Because we saw a picture of you this week
I was wearing glass.
wearing glass, and this is after swearing multiple times. You had no interest whatsoever in the device.
So we had, while I was in San Francisco, we had George Cohen and his wife over for dinner, and he brought his glass and asked me if I wanted to try it on. So, of course, I'm going to try it on. If he's, it is fitted for him.
Excuses.
I will say that I had to take my glasses off, and the video was blurry, or the pictures were blurry as I was using it. So I'm guessing that they optimized that. I would be able to use my glasses, or I could get glasses that would work with it or whatever. It was pretty darn cool, but I wouldn't pay. What did you pay for yours? Like more than $1,000?
that was a dev
stupid
price.
amount, yes.
The street price.
Yeah,
isn't gonna be
I
that.
wouldn't. I wouldn't pay that much money. I don't own an iPad. My daughter owns one because my sister bought her one. It's a tablet. I would love to have a tablet, but I wouldn't pay $600 for it.
Okay, Pam, what did you? So your initial impression was positive on glass, and
Yeah.
you'd heard Alan talk about it, multiple
Oh,
times
yeah.
up till now.
Yep.
You finally got to try it, and admittedly, it wasn't an optimal experience, but you got the
Right.
gist of it. What surprised you? What was like, wow, that surprises me about this product that you weren't expecting when you finally tried it?
It wasn't as intrusive in my field of vision as I thought it was going to be. I really thought it was going to be something of a huge distraction that was going to create issues. Because I wear progressive lenses, I thought that it would cause problems, but actually I was very much able to ignore it. I guess that's
assuming-
the best word, ignore it. So I could still have it on, and I could still have a conversation with George and ignore the pictures that were showing up.
Let me just say, and then I'll let Craig speak. Pam, you have nailed on the nose what is great about glass. You just said it, you understand it, and I want to make sure that people rewind the video and watch what you just said, because you have totally explained in a sentence what is awesome about glass.
That it's
So-
there if you need it, but it's not obtrusive.
Yeah.
Or-
So
And
Pam,
the truth is
yeah,
that I am hyper vigilant. That's part of my personality. So I notice things a lot.
What does
and
that
I
mean?
and hyper vigilant. It just means that I am
Observant.
hyper aware of everything around me. And normally I could not ignore something that was kind of in my peripheral vision, but it was almost instant. I was able to completely ignore it and have this conversation and ignore the stuff going on through the prism. It was
Pam, I
amazing.
want to ask you about the stuff going on in the prism. Forgetting about the fact that you said it wasn't quite in focus for you because of your eyes, right?
Yeah.
But let's assume that problem could be fixed.
Yeah, and I could still see it. It just wasn't in. It just wasn't
Okay,
in
so
focus.
let's assume that problem was fixed.
Okay.
How visible really is the thing? I mean, could you really see something clearly on it?
Absolutely.
assuming-
Yep. I could read emails. Yep.
So does it look like you're looking at a TV because it's so close? I mean, what does the size ratio seem like? I guess what I'm saying.
Comparable to a small phone. You know what I mean? I mean, it was enough. And I did, like I said, I didn't have my glasses on, but I'm extremely nearsighted, so I'm able to see close up, and I was able to actually read the emails as if I was looking at my phone from 18 inches away or whatever.
Okay.
What I usually like to say, Craig, is if you hold your phone at about arm's length away from you, that's about the size of the screen in your field of vision. So if you turn your screen on, you hold it about arm's length away from you in a landscape mode.
Well, that's pretty big.
Yeah. I mean, it's not great. You're not going to read small text.
Now,
but it's not designed for you to read small text.
Okay, so just to compare it to something I am aware of, on my NEX7, I've got a electronic viewfinder. Okay, and it had, what do they call it, a Doppler adjustment or something, adjustment on it, where you adjust it to your eye.
Okay.
Okay, so anyway, when I first looked through it, it wasn't clear. I thought, man, this is junk, right? Then I adjusted that thing, and it got clear. And now when I look through that, which I don't that often, but when I do, it really looks good. It really looks like I'm looking at a screen like this big, pretty
Glass,
close, actually.
The biggest problem with glass is that it requires, it needs to be fitted to your face.
Yeah, that is the biggest
It needs to be put in the right position, because otherwise it's going to give you a poor experience.
And they're going to have to fix that issue if they're going to mass market it. Because there's no way that the public in general is going to line up at Mountain View and New York.
Well, what about Walmart? If they
to
worked
be-
out a deal with Walmart, for example.
Yeah, they do it with regular glasses, don't they? I mean, with regular glasses, you have to get fitted with an hearing aid, and this will never. I mean, it'll be some time before this is a $99 knockoff throwaway item. It's not going to be $1,500, but it's going to be a few $100. I mean, people typically when they get a new phone, they have to go to the store and they take the old contacts off and they explain how to use the new phone, especially if you're switching from Android to iOS or vice versa, or from a feature phone to either of those. There's some hand-holding involved. I don't think that's unreasonable.
It is generally from Android to iOS. The statistics would tell you.
Let me put the slide back up.
You check with the carriers. No, this is what AT&T, Sprint, Verizon all say. So
Whenever
even
you troll
though
us,
they
I have
try
the troll
to
slide.
sell Android phones.
He's a good sport. Are we good on the whatever the hell topic? Are we still
Wait,
on
we
the
didn't
watch?
even talk about the watch. We
No.
didn't finish the watch.
Oh, let's go.
Well,
finish.
You asked our viewers. You asked our viewers for their opinion, and then you didn't even look at any. Anyway,
I can't see the
all
comments.
of the comments
'cause I'm
have
not,
disappeared.
Go ahead, Alan. You want to do the responses
all
we got?
of the comments have disappeared, so I can't. All of the comments have disappeared, so I can't put them up on the screen at the moment. But people were talking.
What do you mean they disappeared?
The general consensus I got, they disappeared. My Hangout toolbox.
I can
comment
show them
tracker's
here.
acting weird.
I'm looking here. I see for $35.
So
as long as
for
they did what I
example,
wanted.
basically, we were seeing stuff in the range of $50, $99. But I think the important thing that I was getting from a lot of them was that they were saying it depends on what exactly it does and how it does it. And that's really the important question here. It's not
People
how much you're
will
going to pay. It's what are
people
the
will
things going to
pay-
do? Why is anyone going to care?
People will pay for something that is useful or something that is really cool, and or both. If it's both, that's even better. And they'll pay handsomely. I mean, Apple has proved this over and over again. So if they come out with something that's really attractive on wrist, that does something really cool, I don't know what that is, but does something really cool, it's
Transport you
useful.
across the globe.
I
Say
think there's a
again?
race
I said
right
transport
now.
you across the globe, because if it's not going to do that, I'm not interested.
If we could do that, that would be
Well,
great.
Pam, let me ask you a question, Pam. Now that you've tried glass and now that you think it's really cool,
Yeah.
how much do you think it's worth? Not how much would you pay for it, because you already said you wouldn't. How much do you think it's worth?
Truthfully, I would say less than an iPad. So
Okay.
if you're going to
Three or
pay if you're going to pay $600 for a new iPad, I think it would be less. It's less useful than an iPad. Oh, from what I saw for the 15 minutes I wore it, I didn't see all the features. I don't, there are not an extensive amount of apps available for it yet and everything. If that comes, then I would say comparable to an iPad. I really think it's convenient. It's extremely convenient and it's extremely portable. But it's an awful expensive piece of equipment to accidentally lose while you're on a roller coaster or something. So, you wouldn't even think about taking your iPad on a roller coaster. So I think that, you know what I mean?
No, but people take glass all the time on a roller coaster.
I understand that, but what I'm saying is that you could lose it. It isn't as secure as if I paid $1,500 for it, I'd have it strapped to my head like with one of those elastic bands that they use.
And I've seen people that do that, but it's funny. I was always paranoid about my glasses falling off when I'm on a flume ride or a roller coaster. I wasn't nearly as paranoid about my glass falling off, and I couldn't tell you why.
It does have a really interesting feature. The earpieces the part that goes around the ears are very flexible, and his were titanium. They were all metal, right?
This is the piece that you're talking about, though. This.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That's titanium.
Yeah. I would personally prefer to have it wrap around the ears, but you know what I'm talking about? Those little memory things. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a little. It didn't fit my head because it fit George's head, but it was comfortable, and yeah, I liked it. And I'd probably pay the same as an
Glowing praise from Pam.
iPad. The truth is I don't like to pay a lot of money for technology and gadgets because they become obsolete so quickly.
Trust me, I fully agree with you.
There's this comment from Michael.
I'm in the same boat as Pam.
Michael Daniels.
I'm in the same boat as Pam.
The only glass I'd like could have alcohol in it.
Yeah.
This is why I never had an iPhone before, is because it was a great product. I've never said it was a bad product, but it was worth it was the cost of it was far, far more than I was willing to pay for it, because it's not worth that to me. And I don't think it's worth that much to most people.
I think that these first versions are going to be beta products, basically.
I agree.
And we don't really know. Like I said, I want one. I'm not really sure exactly what the hell it's going to do. I know basic stuff like notifications, to know who's, I got a text from so-and-so, and in the same way that with a phone, at the top, I get a notification. It tells me kind of, if I'm looking at the phone, it tells me what it said. I could be pushing my shopping cart, look down and see, Larry Sabato tweeted whatever about some breaking political thing or whatever, and I could just kind of glance down and acknowledge it and roll on, that kind of thing. But I think there's going to be epic apps. Like I suggested that in a moving vehicle, it could immediately kick in. Optionally, if you set it to do that, it could start with the Waze alerts as soon as you start driving. So you've still got your phone free to do something else. It could, as Jody suggested, unlock your car or unlock your garage, up in your garage window or your house if you wanted.
So I think a car or some kind of holographic display or something near the windshield, around the side of the windshield, maybe in the bottom part of the windshield, would be safer for you to look at than a tiny little watch phone or glass. Because the truth is that you do kind of have to, look away from the road a little bit in order to focus on what's showing up on your glass, and the same with the phone. And
that's a good point, Pam. But here's what I always say is, how often do you look at your rear view mirror? Is that distracting you from the road?
Yes, but if you've got Waze open, or if you've got Google Maps and you're actually trying to find directions or read what street you're supposed to get off at or whatever, that's a long enough time that, especially in California, I don't know if you've driven in California,
referring to an
but
audio
that's crazy.
alert, Pam. I'm not saying that you'd be looking at it when you're driving. I'm saying that it would speak. That there'd be a speaker, and it would say, police activity ahead or construction
I see.
ahead.
Okay.
And it would
That
alert
would be
you
much safer.
verbally.
Yeah.
Because I don't think you need. Your phone is capable of. My phone, the Note 2, and most of your modern phones are capable of something along the lines of high definition YouTube video streaming and looking at pretty pictures and stuff like that. This watch wouldn't have to have those things, and by definition, or as a consequence of that, it would have a longer battery life. So it wouldn't be something you'd have to charge every night like your phone. I mean, basically, I remember Michael Arrington, when the iPhone first came out, he said, it's great, but I wish I didn't have to, I wish I could go take a dump without having to bring the charger with me. Because the battery life was so bad. That's a visual.
You could try reading a book.
Yeah, as a print guy, I'm pro book. But anyway, all right. Are we good with topic 2? Or do we want to get some more? Let's just look at Pam for a while.
This is seriously only topic 2.
All right, how many?
No, we're further than that.
How many
Okay.
pomegranate martinis are we up to now? Let's see the picture now. We want to do the picture
4.
check. How many inches left in the picture?
This is my 4th one.
Oh dear. Okay. It's gonna
Yeah.
be Pam will be in
I'm
rare
feeling
form.
good.
She's in the fun stage of drunkenness, but it's in about an hour. She'll be in a bitter.
Oh no! I will
angry-
stop.
So she'll be an angry thing with Craig over something. We don't know yet what it is.
I am not an angry drunk. I'm more likely to kiss Craig than kill him.
Well,
But I'm not going to get drunk. I am going to stop after what I have in this glass.
Oh, I thought the picture.
we'll
This is my pitcher. It's actually a mixing glass. So
all pretend that you're actually gonna stop after. If you can't be an athlete, be an athletic supporter.
Oh my God.
All right. So next up. Oh boy. This is kind of. We actually have viewers. It's weird. All right. So next up. More glassware rolling out faster. No link. I hope Alan knows about that, or whoever put
Oh,
that
I'm
in.
better, considering A, that I put it in, and B, that I write Glassware.
Please
Basically-
enumerate all of your statements for the rest. I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Huh? So basically, this news came out yesterday. The Glass developer relations team announced that there was going to be some additional support for people who were writing Glassware and wanted to make it available to the public. So previously, those of us who were writing Glassware, didn't really have a good way to get it into people's hands. It was kind of word of mouth, and people would share links to good Glassware, and that was the only way to do it. And then you would very quickly run out. The Glassware would shut down after a few hours during the day, because we had a limited number of calls that we were allowed to make to the Glass API. That's Application Programmer Interface, just for you, Dan.
Thanks.
So what they've announced is there's now a program where you're going to be able to submit your Glassware for, it's not quite an app store yet, but it's slowly evolving in that direction. As part of this process, they're going to vet the glassware, make sure that it works as you advertise, that it doesn't violate privacy concerns, that it works and behaves as glassware should behave, and in return, you're going to be able to open it up to anybody who's currently using glass, and they will raise your quota so that more people will be able to use it and use it in a more reliable fashion. So hopefully this means we're going to be seeing more and more glassware showing up in the very near future.
Cool.
I can
All
tell
right.
you're absolutely thrilled by this, Dan.
I am beyond thrilled. I am speechless.
We can tell.
I was actually typing a new topic in, so I wasn't paying any attention to what you were saying. Unlike our viewers.
Oh, that's shocking too.
I think it's really cool, Alan, because basically what you're saying is that they're going to evolve into having kind of a glass store, right?
Yes.
Like
And
like the App Store, but different.
Yeah, we knew they were going to be heading in this direction probably. At the very least, we knew there was going to have to be some better way to discover glass apps, and there really wasn't such a way before. So this is kind of a step in that direction, both to helping people discover good glass apps and also encouraging people to, hey, write those glass apps, get them out there. Here's what you need to do in order to make it more available to people. Previously, they were just saying, hey, go ahead and learn how to write glass apps. Now they're saying, okay, it's time for you to write them and to get them out there. So that's good news. It's kind of showing that glass as a system, as an ecosystem as a whole, is evolving. And this is the next step in that.
Well, that's good, because if it doesn't evolve, it'll be like the Google Chrome. Chromecast.
Chromecast is evolving.
Chromecast just got Hulu Plus.
I know, but I mean, on the iOS devices, it's so limited. I can stream.
Well, let's understand why. At least part of the reason is iOS is limited. I'm sorry, but that's the truth.
Craig is just.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I like iOS, but part of the reason why Chromecast is limited on iOS is because you just can't do it. Apple won't let you.
Well, maybe because Apple won't let you, but when you say iOS is limited, that's a little bit misleading, because I think that there's an incredible number of apps that are available. So it's not really that iOS is limited, but it's limited with regard to the interface with Google.
No,
correct?
it's limited. iOS limits in some ways what you can do with it. To give you the example in this case, and I think this is actually an applicable example, is on Android. One of the things that I understand people are complaining about with iOS and Chromecast is that when it's playing and when your device locks, in order for you to do something like pause it, you have to unlock your device and swipe to the app and then unpause it, correct?
I'm not allowed to pause anything, so I don't know.
Okay, in order to do any controls whatsoever, pause it, whatever. On Android, it becomes our lock screen. So if we're doing a Chromecast that our Android phone is controlling at the time, our lock screen has a pause button on it. Apple won't let you do that. They control the lock screen.
Well, you know what? I guess the reason it didn't bother me, Alan, is because up until I upgraded to iOS 7, didn't have a lock screen because I never locked. I was one of the, was it 50% of the people who don't lock their phones?
Yes.
Right, yeah, that was me. So now that I upgraded, I mean, you can take the lock screen off, but then you get this onerous warning that says that if you do that, you're going to be susceptible if your phone is discovered to all kinds of heinous things. So I haven't done that. But yeah, I think you're right. I think I do. The lock screen is absolutely annoying, and I think part of that was because they want to sell the device that you just have to use your finger, right?
Right. And even there, they're still making it so you can do an awful lot of stuff from the lock screen, but it's all Apple stuff. Nobody else can really tap into that. So Apple made a big deal about the fact that, hey, you can get to the camera directly from the lock screen. Big news.
Alan, does anybody develop for does Apple develop for the Android devices? Because I hear a lot of people complaining that they want to develop applications for iOS, right? But I don't really hear so much about people complaining about the other operating systems on the other phones.
Well, people, what do you mean complaining about?
Well, I don't hear a whole lot of clatter about or chatter about, we were trying to develop this for the Android devices, and Android won't let us do this. I don't think that there's a market to develop for Android devices, if I'm not
There is,
mistaken.
well,
I mean,
two things. Two things.
Okay.
One, there is a market. I mean, you have to remember there are more Android phones than there are iOS phones worldwide. Two is that Android is both more lenient and more restrictive in a lot of ways. So,
that makes sense.
well, no, it is. It's more lenient in the sense that if I want, if I want to write a keyboard program, a program that presents a keyboard in a different way, I can do that. You can't on Apple. If I want to create live backgrounds, I can do that on Android. You couldn't on Apple. If I want to create an app that runs on the lock screen, I can do that. You can't on Apple. So these things are more permissive. In other ways, it's more restrictive. You have to ask for specific permission to access the contact list, for example, whereas you would just go get it from iOS if that's what you wanted. So there are different restrictions in place. But in general, on an Android device, you can do just about anything if you ask for permission to do it.
As far as the lock screen, I would just weigh in that I've turned mine off because it's a hassle to have to, because with the Note 2, it's so big, you got to use two hands, and to swipe it, I just turned it off, and I run the risk of pocket dialing somebody, I suppose, once in a while, but that's rare, because now with the new security feature that they've activated for all Android devices, you can locate your phone, you can make it start making noise if you can't find it, even if it's on silent, and you can disable it, and you can delete it. You can do everything short of blowing it up. So there's the risk of having to have the fingerprint thing I mean, that's not really, it's not worth the hassle of having to do something every time you want to use the freaking phone, when you can just disable it if necessary if it gets stolen.
No, that's a horrible example, Dan.
I think it's an excellent example.
No, it's terrible.
Is Dan saying stupid? Is Dan saying stupid things again?
Craig,
That's Craig Ship
can I
there
finish?
talking. Go ahead, Alan.
Craig, I'll give it to you in a second. Don't worry. I think we're in agreement on this one. Dan, but if somebody steals your phone and you don't realize it, okay, they've got access. They're you now for however long it takes you to realize that they have your phone and for you to disable it. Because if they have your phone, you no longer have a way to actually communicate with the world.
But it's not like Jack Bauer is stealing my phone and he's going to get my government secrets. It's like some freaking jerk is stealing it for whatever reason, or found it in the Martin's parking lot or whatever. I'd rather run that risk. I'd rather run that risk of Jack Bauer finding my phone and being able to decrypt stuff than have to swipe and enter codes or put my fingerprint every time I want to use the phone for anything. Because the odds.
So Dan, are you drunk tonight? Have you been hitting the sauce?
No.
No, Pam was.
I just pushed the button and the phone starts. It started. All I did was push the button.
Yeah, but
I didn't do anything special.
No,
I think that's the whole reason to get that phone, though. I really do. And let me share with you.
Yeah,
Dan,
mine. I just show it again, Craig, because I haven't seen it in action. Let me see.
All I did was push the button. That's all I did, and it started launching.
Pushes the button. I mean, really, Dan, it's just like you push the button to turn it on.
Yeah.
That's it. The difference is that he's got a fingerprint scanner there.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm talking Android. I mean, yeah. Obviously, that's a cool feature. That's basically the way I have it, except it doesn't know it's me. In your case, it does know it's you.
There are actually compelling arguments to be made that actually makes your iPhone less secure than the Android. But that's another story.
See, Dan, watch. If I touch it with the wrong finger, let me turn it off. If I touch it with this finger here, okay, it goes to the screen where I would have to put in a code. Okay, I'd have to swipe and I'd have to put in a code because I touched it with the wrong finger. Okay. But if I touch it with the correct finger, it just launches right to the home screen. I gotta
admit, that's a hell of a feature. That's a hell of a feature.
It absolutely,
And Dan,
because what I've done, let me tell you why it's a hell of a feature. Because I've put in a complicated password now, whereas before I wasn't using any password at all. So it's the difference between having no password at all and having a complicated password. And I think that's a huge difference, and that's going to be for a lot of people.
And that's a very good feature. I know that obviously there have been criticism about how insecure it is and how somebody could crack it and all those things. But
Oh, it's almost impossible to crack it.
it is not
No, it's
impossible.
not.
Almost
It's
impossible.
no. Whoa, hang on. For starters, it's already been demonstrated that it's crackable.
And
Well,
it's
it's
very
a big deal.
difficult to
Alan,
do.
Alan,
It's very difficult to
I
do,
think
Alan. Don't skirt over that. It's
the
very
practical
difficult.
prospects of doing that is
Second. If I wanted to get into your iPhone, do you know what I would do, Craig?
Cut his
Force me to
finger
put
off.
my finger on it.
I would put your finger on it.
Sure.
I think they've done all
absolutely.
sorts of things.
Dead
They've
or
used
alive.
cats' paws, penises, I mean, all sorts of things, and it all worked. You know, it just
Yeah, but you
But-
get
but
5
that-
tries at it, Alan. You gotta pick
that-
the right finger. You get 5 tries.
But that's not the idea, right? I mean, if you
What
So
happens
you're
after
saying you've
5
got 5
tries?
Oh, and let me tell you something else, Alan. Let me tell you
How about
something
10?
else. Hey, let me tell you something else. When I put my finger on there, if I kind of like swipe it, you know, I can make it not work. So you have to be careful how you put my finger on it too. And again, you've only get 5 tries at it.
What happens after
So-
on the
You have
6th try?
5 tries.
After 5 tries, you got to put in the complicated password. It defaults to the password.
it
Okay.
is a pretty cool feature.
And that's why it's very
It's a great
difficult.
feature. Don't get me wrong. I think it is a great feature. I think it's a brilliant feature. Okay. I also think that the Android pattern lock is a great feature.
It is. It's absolutely good.
Yeah, but see, the problem is that with these other types of passwords, statistics have shown that half of the people don't use them because they're too inconvenient. I'm almost ready to
Like
give
me and
up on
Dan.
two-step authentication on Google because it's such a pain in the neck.
Well, but here's the thing, Craig. It is complicated to enter in a complicated PIN. It's not complicated to enter in a complicated swipe pattern. That takes just as long as it did to swipe to unlock.
If somebody
That's-
sees you swipe it, though, Alan, then they can swipe it. The difference
What
is
was
with a fingerprint, it's a biometric. It's much harder to replicate.
No, it's actually very easy to replicate.
Who told
And-
you that, Alan? Who told
Who
you
told
that?
me that? The
No,
researchers who've demonstrated it
No,
already.
No, they
the
didn't
same
demonstrate
person
it.
who demonstrated
You're
it.
nuts.
He admitted
I'm
that.
not
it is
Alan,
nuts.
you
very,
are
very-
nuts.
He
No,
read
no,
it on an
no,
internet.
no.
No, he
You
read
are
it.
so wrong.
He
The
read it
same
on the
per-
internet.
Dan, one second.
Then it must be
That's
true.
ridiculous. It is extremely difficult.
Dan, one second.
Extremely difficult.
The
I
person,
guarantee you, some
the
Tony
people-
Soprano dude's
you
going to
read what
chop his
Steve
finger
Gibson
off
said
and get his
about
The
phone.
people who demonstrated it said, they came out and said that first of all, you need to get a full print of the correct finger, first of all, right?
Yeah.
In reality, in practical scenario, if I want to crack into or hack into Craig's phone, it is not easy. They had to go through a lot of steps to get to achieve it. Go read his blog. The guy who achieved
Absolutely. It's
I read
very difficult. Very
It's
difficult.
not very difficult. It's difficult. It's not very difficult.
For most people, it's very difficult.
Okay,
I'll put
so
it that
so
way.
Craig, the answer is yes.
And
It
you
is a
need-
good
I-
basic
I-
security measure.
Hold on,
I'm not
hold
saying
on.
it isn't.
And you need sophisticated equipment to get it done.
Yeah, and
And
so
what's your point? I'm not
the point
saying
is, for all practical
what Craig
purposes,
said was no,
hey,
hang on.
here it
Craig
is.
said
For all
it was
practical
impossible.
purposes, it is secure. Period.
No, Craig.
Done.
Craig,
End of
what you
statement.
said 10 minutes ago was that it was impossible. Now you're saying it's very difficult. Okay,
That's
and I'll
right.
agree with you.
Which-
it is difficult.
for all practical purposes, it is impossible. That's correct.
Okay, that's great. And I can also tell you that as of a year ago, the pattern unlock on Android was also impossible. And it's not me saying that, it's the feds that said that.
Everything is possible, but the relative ease of doing it, the practicality or something like that, that's what it really matters, right?
Right.
That's
And
right.
the
It's-
relative ease and practicality of the pattern unlock is that it was trivial.
No, nobody says that the pattern is, I mean, Craig might have a different opinion, but for me, I think it's good enough. But
Okay,
I
so how do you do
no,
the
no,
pattern? Can you
no,
show
hold
me,
on, hold
Alan,
on.
how you do the pattern?
I still think the fact that Craig can just press the button and it'll start working is awesome.
Okay, Alan,
It
can
is
you
awesome.
show
Don't get me
me?
wrong.
Alan,
It's-
can you
it's a
show
great
me
feature.
what you've got to do?
I think it's better than the pattern because you have to do a pattern here. I'm just switching on my phone. right?
What do you have to do a pattern? Can you show me?
I'll be right back.
Sure. I will show you an invalid pattern.
Okay.
That's an invalid. Oh, sorry.
I can't
even
see it. I
now.
can't see
Sorry.
it.
Sorry. Nope. Sorry. I wasn't. Okay.
Okay.
We have this 9 dots here. I don't know how well you can see
Okay.
that.
All right, I
Okay.
see them.
Okay. That's a pattern. That was an invalid pattern.
Okay, I understand.
Okay.
So that
Okay.
doesn't take that long, but it's longer than what I do because I don't even have to look at the phone to do it.
No, it doesn't take very long. It takes about as long as a swipe to unlock does. And that was the point of it, is that if you are already swiping to unlock, instead you can swipe in whatever direction you wanted, and now that becomes a password.
And yeah, exactly. And I can change the pattern. So this time it's, this and any of the 4 dots or whatever that I connect, I can change the pattern. If someone sees me unlocking my phone, I can change the pattern to something else.
Right.
So
and don't
it
get me
adds
wrong,
a little bit of a security, actually.
And Craig, let me be perfectly clear.
Mm-hmm.
I think the fingerprint password scanner is awesome. I think it's great. I think it's a wonderful feature. But saying that it is the most secure thing out there is going a bit far.
Well,
I disagree.
Why do you disagree, Pam? Why do you disagree?
Here's why I disagree. Because we went and refied an auto loan about 2 months ago, and the lady at the bank had one of those fingerprint readers or whatever that she had to use to unlock her computer, and she had to do it 9 freaking times to get it to finally read her thumbprint.
Obviously, Pam, they didn't do it right.
I'm just saying,
I agree.
if you've got some dirt on your thumb or something else,
no.
absolutely.
I've got one at the
agree with what you're
gym.
saying.
I've got
If
one at the
it's
gym,
not-
and it works fine. I hit it every time. I've never had to do it twice.
Here's the deal. If
Try
it's done,
eating a glazed donut first.
But the point
Before I
is,
go to the gym?
Pam, the point is that the vast majority of the time, my phone opens the first try, probably 99.9% of the time. So, they have gotten to the point where it's very, very reliable, and so that's why it's good. I agree with you. If it didn't work, I would be throwing the phone and busting it all to pieces. I do not put up with things that don't work.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got an employee
we
that
know,
doesn't work very good.
Craig.
I had to put him 6 feet under, all right? So that's the way I deal with issues. But the point is, this thing works, and that's the difference. All the previous attempts have not worked. And if Android comes out with one, it probably won't work either.
You know what?
Did you read the instruction booklet? Did you read the instruction booklet that came with your phone?
No.
Do you still have it?
It didn't even come with one.
I have never experienced a fingerprint scanner on any device that works.
That's why you got to
90%
try
of
it
the
on an iPhone.
Yeah, I mean, come on. I mean, Motorola...
Come on, it works!
Well, hold on. Motorola had the fingerprint scanner long before, the iPhone came out. What?
A lot of people
2
had
3
it.
years ago?
Guys, they didn't work.
Look, Craig's not going to make this up. I mean, he showed us it works on the iPhone, on his iPhone.
Let's be honest.
It's
The iPhone 1 is it's a different design than most of the other fingerprint scanners that have been used in the past. It is an evolution. It is almost a revolutionary step. One of the things that we don't know, however, is how it's going to last in the long run.
That's right. If it
Nobody's
starts
been
giving
using
trouble,
this for more
I'll
than
be
a
the
few
first
weeks
to tell you.
I would be curious if it was a really hot day, or if you were coming out of the gym and you were sweaty and you did it, if that worked as well.
It's not how it works.
If it's raining,
The fundamental technology of it is different. It actually does read fingerprints in a way that's different than other scanners have done it in the past.
Like Craig.
So things like sweaty fingers
different.
and
But even Apple acknowledges if your hand is overly wet from like sweat or something, it could cause problem. They do acknowledge that. Now
but
today
that's
it
a
was
small
humid.
price to pay. Most of the time, it'll work fine. You just showed us it worked great.
Absolutely. And worst case scenario, you got to type in your passcode.
Honestly, though, I mean, I just don't want to see these fingerprint scanners showing up on Android devices that don't work 98, even, I would go even up to 99% of the time.
Well, if they
I think there's no
because
doubt
of the
that
iPhone.
If they copy the Apple
that
system,
Samsung
it'll
will
probably
release
work.
something and it will be garbage.
Well, and that's what I'm talking about. I mean, like I said, Motorola had it on, I forget what the device was but they had it on one of the devices and it didn't work. And regardless of whether or not it works on the iPhone, let's assume it works 110% of the time on the iPhone. I don't want to see something on an Android device on a flagship Android device that works 97% of the time.
I can't wait. I'll put it this way, Anthony. I can't wait until I can use this thing for like two-factor authentication on Google and things like that. The biggest problem I had setting up my new iPhone was doing on a couple of the applications. You know, I have to do the application-specific password and go through all that nonsense. I would just as soon be able to type in a password and then put on my thumb and have it say, okay, you got the password right and you got the thumb. That's good enough for us. Let's rock and roll.
On that.
Hang on a second. Dan, hang on a second. Let me reply to that one, and this actually ties into something that Jody talked about earlier. This is something that you're actually not going to be able to see very soon, Craig. And the reason is that there is no public API for the thumbprint scanner. That is something that is Apple exclusive only. Only Apple software can use the thumbprint scanner.
Yeah, but I'm hoping in time that will change once they deem that it's reliable, and maybe they'll start opening it up to other applications. I'm just hoping. That's all.
Probably they're going to have their own proprietary like PayPal type thing, right? Using it. But here's what's frustrating, Craig, and you're right on this. To be able to purchase something, if I go to the grocery store, I go to the self-checkout, if I have a few things, and I scan everything, and then I have to say, pay now, what method, debit card, do you have any coupons? No. Enter your PIN, and on and on. On Amazon, all I have to do is, I bought 2 cables, I said, or whatever it was, and I hit buy now, and I'm done. 1 click, right? And it comes the next day. So this is the kind of security that would allow for apps to mimic that kind of efficiency in purchasing things. I wish I could, and this gets back to our wristwatch that we talked about earlier, some sort of smartwatch. I'd love to be able to, God, one day, imagine if you could fill your card up and it all had like an NFC chip or whatever. Every price thing had something, and you could just sort of run it through a scanner, and it would ring everything up, and you put your wrist down there, or your thumbprint or whatever, and you walk out the freaking store, and you're done. And the labor savings for the store.
We should get there sooner rather than later.
But wouldn't that be amazing? Because it's ridiculous that I can buy something on Amazon with 1 click, and it takes like 75 clicks to get out of the grocery store. It's crazy. Doesn't make any sense.
Dan, you've been watching AT&T commercials from the 1980s, haven't you?
No.
Because that's exactly what they demonstrated there.
Well, they haven't gotten there yet.
Back in the 80s. Well, no, but we have the technology. The reason why we haven't gotten there is because we haven't reached the point with some of the things that they're so ubiquitous and so safe. So there is a real concern for the scenario that you just outlined, that, if I steal your watch and you haven't gotten to a point where you've disabled it yet, that I can go into my local, electronics store and walk out with a few $1,000s of equipment and wave my wrist at them.
Yeah, I see your point, and frankly, there will be a story at some point, I'm sure, where someone's had their finger cut off.
No, I'm not talking finger cut off, because honestly, that's a non-issue right now. Let's be honest. Cutting a finger, this technology is good enough that if you cut a finger off, it won't work.
How do we know that?
They've tested it.
How the hell do they test that? Who volunteered?
They take 100.
Hey, I'm a loyal Apple employee. I'm game. Can you sew it back on? How would they? What they use? A cadaver?
They take a 102-year-old, have a scan a finger, and then 2 years later they test it.
Seriously, how'd they test this?
A guy named Lefty.
Oh my God. Are we done? Are we done with this? Technically,
I don't even know how we started this topic. To be perfectly honest,
it's not even a topic. We're talking about more apps for glass.
We're BSing as usual.
Okay, so next up.
Well, you know what? Let me end with this this comment from Peter. So we all agree. Always push the button with the right finger because you never get a sixth chance.
What?
Oh, by the way, trivia question. Why do we have a base 10 number system? Right? 10, 100,000. We could
Because
have
we're idiots.
I have no idea.
we could have I mean, like binary is base 2.
Base
We-
10 is a horrible base system to use.
But it is because you have 10 fingers.
Exactly. If we had 9 fingers or 8 fingers, we'd have a base 9 or 8 respectively number system because
Right.
when we were cavemen, like Sarik, for example. Just kidding.
This is what is it? What bias? I forgot. I
don't
can't
know.
even.
You were talking pretty fast there. It was kind of hard to understand. I almost had to throw up the subtitle machine.
You can't figure out my accented English anymore? Come on.
Not when you're tired. When you're wide awake, you're good.
I'm not drunk today. Usually I am a little high on Fridays, but I'm not.
Everyone's honest on this show. I like that. Okay, so anyway, yeah, that's why we have a base 10 number system because we have 10 fingers. Okay, so next up is kind of just some quick hits I threw in here. Kids won't read investigative journalism, but maybe they'll play a video game with the same message. And what they did, this is an All Things D story I'll share with you guys, that they did this. We've seen educational games before. When I was a high school teacher, we used to use a program called Typing Tutor to teach kids how to type. It was basically Space Invaders, and to stop the little thing from falling down and hitting your little base, you'd have to type the letter on the keyboard. So it kind of like let them play a game and learn to type at the same time. So this is Hairnet Hero, aims to teach kids what's in their food, because kids, their eyes will glaze if you start talking about nutrition. They could care less. So this is, it's just something neat. So you might want to check this out. And the links will be below the video and the posts for the show. But it's called Hairnet Hero. It's going to be free Android and iOS app, and also available on the web. It's from the Center for Investigative Reporting, and it's just a way to get kids to start thinking about stuff like that. So that's cool. And then this one might be more interesting here. France wants to make it illegal for Amazon to offer free shipping. And so what they're going to do, France, I mean, you never are surprised by what comes out of that country. But the French government is close to passing a new law that would limit powerful online retailers like Amazon from offering customers free shipping. This is, of course, to protect brick and mortar businesses. Some of the 3,000 independent booksellers within the country, all of which complain that it's impossible to fight the beast that is Amazon. BBC notes the French government might be trying to dish out some payback to Amazon in particular because the company reports its European profits through a Luxembourg holding company, etc., etc. It would be a considerable setback. I guess they could just discount. I mean, they could find a way around it. The bottom line is, if
Oh
they
yeah,
charge
they're
for
just
shipping,
take
they could lower
99.
yeah, they could. I mean, if it's a $10 item and the shipping's $2, they could just sell it for $8 and charge for shipping. It's the same thing. You could they could have a 20% discount club instead of Amazon Prime free shipping. You get a 20% discount on everything on select items.
No, you can't, because this is France.
What do you guys think? I mean, just let's troll Frank. Let me get Craig up here. He's a big Amazon fan and a classic troll. What do you think? This is absurd. This is like, you can't get rid of all the chainsaws to save the axe lobby. Times have changed. What do you think, Craig? Or
Craig's not there.
ain't that the
We have
truth?
an empty Craig chair.
Yeah. So what do you think? Let me see who we got here. We got Jody. Jody, what do you think about this? Should France ban free shipping and make consumers pay more to protect legacy brick and mortar stores?
I think it's an interesting concept. From an economic standpoint, I don't know. I mean, it certainly does promote people purchasing online when they don't have to pay for shipping. I think the product price is the product price, regardless of whether people buy it in the store or they buy it online. So I'm not sure that free shipping is going to drive people to, purchase online versus purchasing through brick and mortar. It does equal the playing field. You still have to wait to get your purchase.
I think it's going to be come down to maybe the type of product. I'm okay with buying, I need a new laptop battery, and I'm perfectly fine buying my laptop battery from Amazon and having it shipped. And I don't need to go into a brick and mortar store, but when I'm buying a new pair of jeans, they better fit my ass. You know what I mean? And it's very difficult to find that online. Unless you know exactly the brand, exactly the size, and you know that it's going to be cut exactly the same as the one you already have in your closet. You know? So I think it really does it's going to be product specific.
You mean how the shipping or free shipping affects
that some things will go towards online, that online will be promoted or chosen by the consumer over brick and mortar stores. You know, I'm not saying Walmart and Target will ever go away, but maybe some of the smaller stores will. Buying a camera, buying electronics, you know.
It's so cute talking to this little kitten, isn't it?
Sorry, I'm eating dinner and I didn't want to, you know.
That's fine. We understand, Pam.
Okay.
It's so cute.
You know, Dan, when you phrase the question, you put one particular spin on it. I just like to, not that I necessarily agree with this other angle, but I just like to put the other spin on it, and that so you think it's okay for companies to employ predatory pricing to drive their competitors out of the market?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you're okay with monopolies?
Yes.
Whoa, you're jumping from A to B.
No, that's what predatory
he's not.
pricing does.
What is predatory?
Monopolies.
Okay, I mean, the legal. I don't know what the legal definition is. Look. The bottom line is, okay. Let's put things in perspective. France is 260,000 square miles. That's about the size of Texas. Okay, so
and that's relevant how?
Because
he's getting there.
Because if you think about it, you could have how many Walmarts?
Dan, we only have another 2 hours left on this show.
No, I'm trying to make a reasonable point here. If you could have like 1 or 2 or 3 distribution centers throughout Texas, and or France, versus a whole lot of little mom and pop bookstores. Now, each one of those little bookstores, or let's say Walmart's versus Amazon. How many Walmarts are in Texas? God knows. Probably, I don't know. I mean, we can find out. Someone can Google that. How many Walmarts? But you got a manager who's making a couple $100,000 a year with his bonus. It says Walmart opened its first Texas. I can't find it, but I'm guessing there are a lot. Versus you could have 1 to 5 distribution centers. So you got 1 to 5 managers compared to, 100. That's a cost savings. You've got there's, it's cheaper to have a big company that mails stuff than lots of little tiny outlets. That's just common sense. And that's where we're going. And if the people of France want to pay more for stuff and have a limited number of different products available, that's their prerogative. But that's not the way the world's going.
I'd just like to point out that just because you have the lowest price doesn't mean that you have the most customers. Like Walmart obviously has much lower prices than Wegmans does, but Wegmans is extremely competitive against Walmart's. So
Absolutely.
just because you have the lowest price doesn't make you the most desirable.
Wegmans has, I would put just like comparing a Food Lion versus a Giant or a fancier. I would put Wegmans is like at the top of the pardon the pun, the food chain as far as grocery stores. At the low end, you've got, your I guess you got your dollar stores and your Food Lions, and then you've got like your Walmarts, and then you've got like your Giant or Kroger's, and then Wegmans and Whole Foods are at the top. But Wegmans, you can buy like real food. Whole Foods is like all this, it's all generic, organic stuff. Wegmans, you can buy like real stuff that you actually eat, and the prices aren't that bad, I don't think. I think they were very competitive when I was there. I've been there a few times. But it's more efficient. Who else wants to defend France besides Alan and Jody? Craig, I
Oh,
know
don't
you
get me
do.
wrong. I don't want to defend France. What I want to say, all I wanted to do is point out that you had a definite one-sided spin. I was pointing out the other side of the spin.
So I have a special announcement.
Uh-oh.
Where's Dan?
Go ahead.
Did he disappear? Well, my special
ahead.
announcement, and I got to run for a few minutes. I'll be back. But my special announcement is I just eclipsed 2,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel.
Congratulations. Awesome.
Congratulations,
Awesome.
Craig.
And I want to point out I'm not anti-France. I wear Dracar.
Yes, you are. Let's be
Weird.
honest here.
Which is a French cologne, which I'm getting ready to purchase some more from Amazon.com and get free shipping because it's a Prime. It's an Amazon Prime item.
Did
Look,
you
it's-
know that Amazon raises the prices on certain items if you're logged in as a Prime user, but if you log out of being a Prime user, the price is sometimes lower? I haven't seen it happen often, but I've definitely seen it.
I don't have a problem with that. I mean, I think it's reasonable that they're going to have some expense incurred by shipping it, right? 2-day UPS, and I'm sure they get a
it's
better
not
deal
just a
than you
Prime.
would get if you were shipping an
I
individual
get
item.
free shipping if I buy $25 worth of stuff, and I know for a fact that that giant bottle of cologne that you just lifted up is more than $25.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's
Anthony.
about 85.
Anthony, it's more convoluted than that. They actually have some fairly good demographics and some fairly good user analysis, and they will adjust prices on products from person to person, whether or not you're using Prime or not.
Well, yeah, and I'm sure of that because I've seen, like, if I add, a bunch of items to a wish list on Amazon, and I don't put many items at all in my wish list, but I've never seen the price go up on an item since the time that I put it in. I've seen it quite often, show me a notice, hey, this item has gone, X amount percentage down in price. So, yeah, that doesn't shock me at all.
This is common though, Alan. I remember back when I was using Yahoo to host websites. Horrific mistake. Don't do that. Don't use them for anything. But you'd go to my control panel, and I would say, if I wanted to add a new domain, it would have a $25 setup fee, right? But I could go to Google or Yahoo search. I could type in cheap web hosting Yahoo or a discount web hosting Yahoo, some kind of tailor-made search to indicate I'm bargain basement and I'm looking for Yahoo. It would take me to the exact same landing page, but it would have the $25 fee. It would have it crossed out and say waived, the setup fee, if you landed there via that search. But if you just went to Yahoo and then said web hosting, Yahoo Small Business web hosting, it would have a $25 setup fee. So this is, old technology, but smart.
Yeah, but Amazon's taken it to another level with some of what they do. They will look at your previous purchases, for example, through them. They will look at the websites that you've visited, and depending on all of that, they will show you different prices.
Especially if you have a
And some-
Kindle, I imagine. If you're browsing a
Well-
lot on the Kindle, I bet they really get some good data from you.
Yeah, so it's issues like that, and that's what a lot of people are concerned about.
But you know what? I remember when it was Leo Laporte or somebody when they were talking about the first time when the Kindle came out, and there was like a cheaper version you could get that would have ads on the home screen or the lock screen or whatever. And they said that some people actually preferred that because the ads were relevant. If you were a big John Grisham reader and he had a new book come out, then it would highlight the new John Grisham book, which you might not have been aware of. They found it to be relevant in the same way that, you've heard me harp a million times that often when I'm doing Google search, the paid ads on the right or wherever they are now offer more relevant search results than some of the native search results. That the guys buying those ads are better at delivering search results than the algorithm is. Go ahead, Anthony.
I have a friend that yesterday got an ad on Facebook for an Etsy product, and it's certainly a product that he would use. And the reason I know it's a product that he would use is it's because it was one of his products. So obviously Facebook is, and all these or not all of these, but a lot of these companies, Netflixes and Amazons and Facebooks, they're very good at using the demographic information that they have to target users.
All right, so we're done with France. Back to America.
We've been done with France for about 60 years now, haven't we?
Back to American exceptionalism. We can't. We spend more to close the government than it costs to keep it open. I know that Putin is just laughing his ass off at us right now. Okay, so next up, email users sue Yahoo over keyword scanning as Google prepares to fight Gmail's suit. I don't want to.
Actually, Dan, before
yes, sir.
Before we get to that, I do want to. We did get a couple of comments on this.
Please.
That just came in. So Kevin says, limiting free shipping is not the worst idea in the world. France is trying to think through what happens if all the brick and mortar stores go under. What happens to the country as a whole? John points out that they should be more worried about Walmart. Oh, and Jody, who is over at Tech Webcast right now, ponders, if that happens, does the government shut down because they can't agree on a budget? Oh, wait.
Jody's multitasking.
So Kevin's defending France, maybe.
I don't know.
Those were some comments that we got on this.
It's hard, just like I'm sitting here at the top of the show. I did my little rant about local people I care about, friends of mine, who are can't go to work and won't get back pay. They're just furloughed for a while because of this pissing contest in D.C. So I'm basically lamenting the situation, and I think it's similar to what's going on in France, where you are concerned about those wonderful, obviously not analogous to Amazon, but like the bakeries and all this stuff, the little mom and pop shops that deliver that really good service, and you've been going there for 30 years, and your grandpa went there 80 years ago, and et cetera, and you're concerned about their well-being, and I totally get that. And I'm not sure what the answer is, but I think that you have to move on. It's tough, but it doesn't. When you see these cities cling to that, in the same way like D.C. Some of the council members were fighting the Walmart. They were planning to build 8 stores. The bottom line is, look at if you can spend half as much at Amazon or Walmart as you spend at the mom and pop. That's 50% savings you can spend on other businesses instead of just paying them. And look at all the money people save through discount retail. I mean, stuff costs a whole lot less here than it does in some other countries because we have a very efficient delivery system. So it's a balancing act, and I totally get the motivation of the folks. I don't agree with it, but I think that I understand the motivation, and there's a bug on my face. So I guess that's a sign that we should move on. So are we good on that topic? Can we move on to the email? Briefly hit that one, Alan?
Sure, whatever.
Email users sue Yahoo over keyword scanning as Google prepares to fight Gmail suit. So apparently this, I guess, stems from the issues that Microsoft raises with their absurd Scroogled campaign, where they're upset that Google looks at your Gmail and will deliver ads targeted toward topics. So if I emailed Alan, we've talked about this a million times. So in brief, if I email Alan and say, Alan, I think we should all get together for a cruise to the Bahamas at some point. When Alan's reading that message, he might see an ad from a cruise, Carnival Cruise Company, great deals on Bahaman cruises. So the key point is there's no Google employee reading your email and delivering those ads. It's an algorithm. So no people are involved except in developing the algorithm. But Microsoft made a big thing, and they call it Scroogled, where they're spying on your emails. But as I've said before, Microsoft does the exact same thing to check for spam filters. They scan your email, and if I said, hey, check out my pics on my other email address, exclusive nude photos or something like that, then Alan, his Hotmail or whatever the hell he uses would throw it into a spam folder. So
Do you even have a Hotmail account, Alan?
obviously
Do I?
I'm no, and
I
I'm
don't
not
think so.
sending nude pics to Alan, but just for example purposes. So it's the exact same thing, and every email system, and you expect this and you want this. I don't want phishing emails and blatant spam. I want the spam filters. So it's the exact same thing. They can scan it, and they can determine that this is known spam message, or they can scan it, and an algorithm can say that, hey, he's looking for a cruise to the Bahamas. Let's deliver an ad. I don't have a problem with either one of those things. I want both of those things in order to get my free email. So Microsoft, but now they're suing Yahoo over that, and it's just stupid. And I hope they lose. But anyone want to weigh in on this? This is more stupid than France. If you can, I mean, that's saying something coming from me. Did I mention my French cologne that I'm gonna purchase from Amazon?
Last week and in previous shows, I pointed out that one of the interesting angles on this was that it was coming in under the wiretap law, and I thought, this might be a legitimate argument. There might be some valid complaints here. And Dan kept saying, but you have to realize no human is listening to this. No human is listening to this. He repeated this mantra over and over again, yet he never actually explained why this was relevant in any way. It turns out it is relevant. And the reason why it's relevant is because the law says wiretapping is a human listening to it. It specifically says that if you're just recording it and nobody ever listens to it, that's not wiretapping. If you're recording it and someone does listen to it, that's wiretapping, and that's illegal. So it seems to me, and I'm not a lawyer, I'm not, anything along those lines, it seems to me that the case now has a lot less validity because, as we've discussed, no human is actually looking at the results of this, at least no human that's not inherently entitled to. So I think this case is without merit, but it's difficult grounds to be tread on here.
So it's only Microsoft and Yahoo, so no humans are involved. I think the moral of this, though, Alan, is even when I don't know why I'm right, I am right.
No, you're not.
No, I just think, but seriously, my basic crux of my argument is all of us would freak out if all the spam we get no longer went into our spam folder. Tell me what is different, except for the goal, but the actual mechanism of scanning an email to determine if it's spam or to deliver ads. They're identical, and there's no difference.
Dan, I agree with that. But at the same time, all of us would also freak out if we were talking on the telephone and suddenly it was interrupted by an advertisement that was based on our conversation. That would freak us out, wouldn't it?
In 1985, would it freak us out, or today if we were on a Skype call?
No, if I was actually talking on a telephone.
On a landline, I think that would freak out my 75-year-old parents. But if I was on a Skype call, yeah, that would freak me out. An algorithm picking up voice patterns, that would be an adjustment.
And that's the same thing. We have an expectation that nothing is listening in on our on our phone conversations.
Well, we did until Snowden.
Well,
right, but that's a whole
different
topic we don't want to get back into, right? Any thoughts on this stupid lawsuit in our unbiased program? Do we even have anybody else in the panel? Jody's gone. Pam's passed out. Anthony's there.
I'm not passed out.
I'm just messing
Please.
with you.
I have no opinion on this.
Okay.
I think it's just another stupid, frivolous. Yeah, Alan said it all. I agree with Alan. Alan's right. He's always right. Why do I even bother talking?
She could have been taking a leak and not heard anything, and she just says, I really agree with what Alan said. And that's a save. Okay.
And it's an absolutely safe answer every single time because he's almost always right.
He has fanboys.
I'm his biggest fan.
Oh,
besides maybe his son.
All right. She hasn't experienced Dan McDermott with Drakkar Noir on his neck. Then she'd be Dan's biggest fan. She'd follow me around with a mattress strapped to her back. All right. So Amazon's Roku
Doubtful.
killer, very doubtful. Amazon's Roku killer may launch in time for the holidays. So this is, there have been rumors about this for some time, Alan, about some sort of Amazon TV device or something. And it makes sense because they've built up a wonderful instant video network, but they really don't have a physical device. And more evidence, in my opinion, is that they've been very reluctant to allow it to play on an Android device in general. They don't have anything or any signs of anything coming out for the Chromecast or what have you. But I do see Amazon Instant Video on my my Vizio television has an app for that, and I can watch there. But I think this is just a logical thing. It's another gadget they can sell, and it can promote Amazon Prime, which gets you all this free video. This seems like, you know, why haven't they done this earlier? This is obviously going to happen, right?
It'll happen eventually, I'm sure. You know, whether this is it, whether this is even a good product, who knows? It might be, it might not be. I'm curious to see what attitude they take on it. I'm curious to see what their angle is going to be, and I'm curious to see what Craig's reaction to it is going to be.
I'm really impressed with their new the new Kindle. What was it? I guess it's the new HDX.
HDX, which we covered on last Monday's
Absolutely.
our Android Week.
Yeah, they got game on the hardware thing. They're doing it right. They're not running out of stuff. They're putting out quality hardware.
But hang on. You know, the HDX is quality, but it took them how long to get there? I mean, the first Kindle Fires, the first, you know, the first Android tablets of theirs were not great. They were good, but they were not great.
Weren't they the best thing, or comparable to the best thing out there at the time? Because the Nexus 7 hadn't come out yet.
It hadn't come out yet, but also the software that was running on it was garbage. I mean, the criticism was universally that it was kind of a cheap tablet with a really good display, but a cheap tablet with an operating system that wasn't quite there.
I think that they have advanced. I mean, didn't we cover the original Kindle or Kindle Fire? So it's been like 2 years, right?
Yeah.
Look how far
It took,
they've gone in just 2 years. I'm very impressed with the pace at which they've advanced. The first iteration of a product is always, you know, less impressive than the third or fourth, unless you're Microsoft. Okay, so obviously this is a conversation starter.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So
What are you going to say? It's a total rumor. Okay. Great. Next.
All right. I don't know. Do we have a next? Oh yeah. Two fun things. You guys have seen this. This is just weird. There's some kind of, it's called the Wildcat, and they're saying like it's some kind of robotic thing, and it's gonna not play. Here we go. So this is kind of freaky. It's it sounds like it's got elements of an RV, a radio-controlled RC type thing. It sounds like that. Appears to be running backwards, but apparently it's not. It's galloping, and I guess it's going to arrest you one day. That was the way it was posted, that if you commit a crime, this thing will come get you. Are we going to get to, like, Robo Cops one day? What do you think, Alan? Are you afraid that the next time you decide to steal a candy bar from the 7-Eleven, that this is going to come get you? This kind of freaks me out, I think.
You're easily freaked out, yeah.
Anyway, so this happened.
You're
So
not
this-
freaked out by tranquilizer guns sitting in video cameras pointed at the candy display in the candy store?
Tranquilizer guns in the candy store? What the hell are you talking about?
Sure. just hook up the tranquilizer gun right to the TV camera that's pointed right at you. So as soon as, it detects that you're stealing something, it just, tranks you.
That's illegal in the Commonwealth of Virginia.
Do you think this Robo Cop is going to be?
I don't know. I don't see it happening soon. Okay, so this is the last fun thing I have, and then we'll do our How Was Your Week? And any comments from viewers before we get to that. So this is kind of cool. This was from the National Weather Service in Alaska, Anchorage, Alaska. I imagine the weather's, it's cold.
Was this before or after they shut down?
This is after they shut down. So this is from CNN. And I don't know if they've confirmed it. So I'm not sure if this is a coincidence. I doubt it. But if you look here, it's this innocuous forecast. Pressures at the center of the western Gulf surface low continue to level as dynamics. Support is once again run out. Yeah, I think it's set up. The upper trough eases slowly eastward in the Gulf with the remaining surface low amalgamating into a broad complex. Obviously, this is a bullshit weather forecast. But if you look at the first letter here of each line, it says, please pay us. I think that's pretty crafty of those meteorologists who are not known to be, particularly meme oriented. But this is pretty neat. I mean, I don't know what the weather in Anchorage, Alaska is like. I imagine it's cold and rainy or whatever. I have no idea. Maybe it's beautiful there. But I just thought that was interesting. So I had to share it with our viewers. And so that
Well, I thought it was pretty cool the way that they lined that up. That's cool.
It looked like a real weather forecast until you actually read it, and then it's like, the coastal jet has wound down with energy shifting underneath the backside jet between the low, bringing the strongest sustained. I mean, obviously this is so that was pretty.
Have you read National Weather Service forecasts before?
Yes, I'm an enthusiast. I often read.
I read them all the time, actually.
The in-depth weather forecast. I don't read this level. I mean, I look at what I do. In fact, I have it here right on my thing. I hit weather.
So you watch the weather bug summary. Pam, it sounds like you actually read their forecasts and analyses. I skimmed through this. It doesn't look all that far-fetched from what their normal analysis are.
Except it says, please pay us.
Yeah, it's a little more wordy.
Yeah, it looks like they padded out some words to push words that they wanted.
It's clearly an Easter egg. It's no coincidence that it says, please pay us. And somebody leaked it to an AP reporter or something, obviously.
But they're not egregiously padding it out.
No, it's awesome. I think it's funny and witty and smart, and obviously they got time on their hands, right? I mean, it's Alaska, It's going to be cold. I mean,
Dan.
Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I just, I got to troll him, right? Because Craig's not here. He's a resident troll, and he's not here right now.
Oh, come on. You're not even emulating Craig well. You know what Craig would say. Do I need to channel him again?
We don't need the National Weather Service. We just look outside and know it's cold in Alaska. What the hell are we spending this money on? That's Craig.
That's Craig. Very good.
Except he would have more accessories than a Rolex, like my Drakkar, which I'm going to purchase from Amazon and get free shipping.
So, Dan, how was your Google Plus week?
My Google Plus week was kind of depressing because I'm not going to get it, what I talked about in the beginning. But in the same sense, it was a nice day, and I'm thinking about firing up the karaoke in the backyard tomorrow. It's going to be 86. You can see here it's going to be 86 degrees with a patchy fog, which means we should have minimal mosquito contact, no precipitation, nice karaoke weather, as they say. So I may purchase some beverages and have my neighbors over, and we'll sing some karaoke songs tomorrow. Since some of my neighbors and friends are not working because of our fearless leaders in Washington, and so that's my Google Plus week. We're a tourist town. We live all around we have two parks: the state park, which is still open, and the national park, Shenandoah National Park and Skyline Drive, which is a world famous destination, and 250,000 people want to come here and can't, and they would spend money from my other friends who, and I know people who own restaurants, they're advertisers of mine. It could impact me. We have one guy, one federal advertiser that's going to pull, so it's pulling some money out of my pocket, but it's not a huge deal for me as it is for a waitress in a restaurant. Like my one friend who's got 5 kids between her and her boyfriend, and he does tree work, and she's a waitress, and she can't work now. They don't have extra money saved up for that kind of stuff, for them to play stupid games in Washington when we know what the outcome's going to be, and it's just a time waster. So that was my Google Plus week. Could have been better, but hopefully next week they'll have this worked out, and we won't be so pissed off and wasting time. Who's next? Who do we have next? We have 2 people
Pam.
left. Pam.
How was your Google Plus week?
My Google Plus week was good. I got back from my trip to San Francisco.
I was going to say, you actually need to cover 2 weeks, because you weren't here last week, and we want to hear about your trip.
Okay. My trip to San Francisco, I got there on Thursday, and we went to Wildlife Marsh. That was dry, unfortunately, but I still got some good pictures, and went and picked up another participant at the airport, and waited for someone else to drive in, and we had birthday cake and champagne at midnight because my birthday is the same day that Google celebrates their birthday. So on Friday, our Cecily's and my birthday, we went to Google, and I messaged Dave Besbris, and he met us in the lobby with gifts. We got a Mr. Jingles pillow.
You got one of the Mr. Jingles pillows. Ooh.
That would totally be behind me in every show if I had one of those.
It's actually kind of cute. And so then we toured mostly around the outside, and went to the Google store, and I got a couple T-shirts that I haven't washed yet, so I'm not wearing them. And
now, last week on the show, we featured a picture.
Oh, the Auto Awesome. The Auto
from the
Awesome.
Auto Awesome photo booth.
It was so funny because we all crammed in there, and they're like, okay, now do something, and so everyone was trying to hide behind me because they didn't want to be on camera, and they were pulling each other, and I'm just sitting there in the middle, kind of just dodging arms and elbows and stuff, and we were making so much ruckus that the tour guides were filming us doing our Auto Awesome. So they're like, come on, this is great, so we did 2 of those actually, so and they were both exactly the same, except for the second time 2 of the people slid off my knees because I was they were sitting on my knees to kind of prop themselves up because there's no real chairs there or anything, and so that was fun. And let's see, what else did we do? Oh, we went to Fisherman's Wharf. Oh, I have to tell you a story. Typical Pam story, right? So we went to Fisherman's Wharf, and we took a tour called the San Francisco Night Tour or whatever. So we go in and pay for the tickets, and we were given the poor guy selling us tickets, we were giving them a hard time and everything, and one of the guys goes, I want to go hang out with you guys are so fun, So we go out, and there's this double-decker bus, vintage 80s, I think, and the window at the top, we sat at the very top, was taped together with painter's tape. We're like, oh yay. Hopefully it doesn't get too windy. So it was like a 90-minute tour around San Francisco, and I'm taking pictures. I love architecture. I like all the details, and all that stuff's all hand done. And I'm taking a bunch of pictures and everything, and I see this guy whacking off on the 3rd floor because And I'm like, oh my God, there's a guy whacking off. And so we all, he was doing it for the tour bus, I guess. So my peen
Only you,
detector,
Pam. Only you.
my peen detector's in tip-top shape. So yeah, that was the highlight of our Fisherman's Wharf trip.
Did you get the YouTube video for that?
No, I couldn't focus the camera fast enough. The bus was driving too fast, but I do have 2 people who verified it, so I wasn't the only one that saw it. So, and then we met Carter Gibson and Chris Vallow at a bar, and we went and had carved meat at some other place and hung out, and then on Saturday we went to Half Moon Bay and ate at this restaurant actually at Moss Beach, which is kind of on the bluffs, and that was really fun. And that's about it.
Now,
Came
put
home
this in
on Sunday.
perspective. Like for me, I'm on the East Coast, so for me to do a birthday in San Francisco would be massively expensive and time consuming because I'm way far away. You're in Menifee, California, so tell
It's
us
an
what does
it's
that
an
mean?
8-hour drive. It's an 8-hour drive, but I went to the local airport, which was fun all in itself. I went to the local airport and took a $79 Southwest flight up to San Francisco. So it wasn't that bad. It was an hour flight. And an hour back, and I have to tell you guys, Southwest is the best. I hope they're listening.
They have a great personality
They
too, right?
held the plane for me because Caltrans was doing work, and we left 3 hours early, and I was 10 minutes early for that plane. And they held it, and they talked to security. I got through security fast, and everything. So I was.
You weren't just a number to them. That's great.
Right. Yeah, they treated me very well. So, so it's an hour flight, and it was $79 each way, and I was fortunate enough to stay at someone's house, so I didn't have hotel expenses or anything, So it was good. We had and
you got to see a guy doing it on the balcony or whatever.
Yeah, he was giving us a show. Yeah.
Maybe we should start doing that on the Google Plus Week, Alan. We could boost our ratings.
You know what? There are plenty of those on YouTube.
As long as there's not copyrighted music playing during the.
So this week was just decompressing from
manhandling.
that. Yeah.
Well, good
got
for you,
those two.
and a very happy birthday.
Thank you.
29 years old.
I wish.
If it ain't
Just
broke,
slightly older than Google.
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. I'm 46.
We're about the same age. I'm 45,
Yes, we are about the same age.
and both dashing.
Yep.
Okay, so
Even though Pam doesn't wear Drakkar.
No, I
Purchased
wear
with-
Chanel.
free shipping from Amazon Prime.
Yep.
It
So
smells
mine.
really good, by the way, Alan.
Yeah. Yeah, I used to have a boyfriend that wore that stuff.
Oh, so it's bad memories whenever I do this.
No,
You get
I
angry
don't
all
have
over
any bad.
again.
I don't have any bad memories of boyfriends. I dumped them all. Yeah, I didn't.
When
No
they're
one dumps
done.
me. Are you kidding me?
Because you're a freak. Alan Furstenberg, how was your Google Plus week, sir?
It was pretty good. It was very busy. It's been a very busy week for me. So I've been doing a lot of work on the book that I'm writing. I've been doing a lot of Glassware development, preparing for some other assorted presentations that I'm hoping to be able to do. So very much keeping me on my toes. Plus I've got this whole work thing that I need to do. So it's been a very, very busy week for me. Not bad busy, but busy. I wanted to bring Michael Daniels' comment, which I think is a good closing comment for the show, especially while Dan is wandering around who knows where. So from Michael Daniels, we have his wrap-up for the week. Let Dan have a smartwatch. Please let Craig use his Chromecast with his golden phone. Pam has an API that's alcohol pomegranate interface. Alan thinks finger scanners should be given the finger. Thank you, Michael. And I would like to remind everyone that we have an Android show Monday evenings at 9 p.m. Eastern. That's 6 p.m. Pacific. You've been watching Google Plus Week, which appears every week at promptly at 8:30 Eastern, 5:30 Pacific. And when I say promptly, that means that's when we prompt Dan that we need to get the show started already. So we thank you, as always, for watching, for commenting, for your patience with our technical trouble that we seem to have every week, Dan. And what do we wish them that they have, Dan?
We want to wish all of you a wonderful Google Plus week. And don't forget, we're now on SoundCloud. And I'll have the RSS feed. And it'll be a single, for now I'm doing a single RSS feed for both shows, the Android show and the Google Plus Week show. Because we have a lot of crossover audience, and they're really being cool. I applied for their beta program, and they were like falling over themselves to get us in there. So they're awesome, and I'm excited about that. So please check us out if you want to, while you're jogging or walking or driving, and you want to just listen to the show. You can do that on SoundCloud, and we get almost as many listeners as we have viewers. It's very close. So thank you all very much for watching. And until next time, have a wonderful Google Plus week.